Hello, everybody. I do believe we're probably on. At least that's what I'm going to assume. Hi, this is the single greatest A Link to the Past randomizer tournament in the history of A Link to the Past randomizer tournaments. This is the 2022 Crosskeys Tournament. Hi, I'm Walkix. I'm here with Clearmouse today. Hello, Clearmouse.
Well, hello, Walkix. I'm in full agreement with you. This is the absolute best tournament of Link to the Past randomizer because we've got everything that could be randomized, and not only that, we've actually got two pretty amazing people running this game today. We've got norskmatty facing off of fearagent. I would say kind of like a veteran, coming across, facing a somewhat a bit newer to the scene, but man, has norskmatty definitely really kind of grown. I think actually his race time account is something like a year and maybe a year and a half years old, but I mean he has made such great progress. It's going to be definitely a great match.
Yeah, and we were wondering, we were having a little bit of a pre-race chat, and we were wondering what norskmatty's sprite is. And this is actually norskmatty's own sprite, which is really cool. We were sitting here trying to think, man, what character could this be? But no, this is their own sprite. So really excited to see how this plays out. We're already seeing Divergent starts. Fear starting at Link's house, getting a heart container. norskmatty starting at Sanctuary, getting just 20 rupees.
Yeah, I mean, so you're certainly never gonna, complain in this case about having, in this case, some sort of early resources, that early heart container. For what it's worth, it's actually going to be pretty good. I do know that some runners certainly prefer to have as little as health as possible, especially before a mirror shows up, so they can maybe death warp a bit easier. But that fourth heart probably at this point is going to be more worth it to them, just to for some extra effort to stay alive.
Yeah,
when they want to.
Right, and we're seeing Fear kind of take what I guess some people would consider a standard start in Crosskeys, and that's, you go to Link's house, you fake flipper over to check Witch's Hut, just to kind of, this gets you an out-of-the-way entrance, and this sets you up for Houlihan if you want some money. On norskmatty's side, however, they went to the forest because Back of Escape is sitting at the Lumberjack house, and so we found a pod big key already.
Yeah, and not only a pod big key, we actually found Ganon, so gonna not have to necessarily climb either Aga 1 or Aga 2 here today. Meanwhile, though, Fear, taking that kind of more, another, common opening, did find the back of Skull Woods, so certainly gonna be something that is at least pretty, pretty useful potentially. It is, already one of our first dungeons we might have to go beat.
Yeah, and nice little find for norskmatty, getting the kind of the bomb hut that lets you fill up on some bombs. One of the early, maybe not necessarily disadvantages to starting Sanctuary, but something that you kind of always have to keep in mind when early in a Crosskeys seed is figuring out how you're going to get bombs. Because bombs are a hot commodity pretty early on, as Fear Agent is going to find out with the Kakariko well over here at the Eastern Fairy Cave, or whatever you want to consider it.
Yeah, and of course this is kind of one of those times where you're really hoping for those 3 bombs, and of course in Crosskeys, because everything, and we mean everything, is shuffled in, right? Maps, compasses, big keys, small keys. Finding a 3-pack bomb is just not necessarily going to be as common. So unfortunately, for Fear, he is going to have to kind of isolate that one item behind that is bomb locked in the well, but hopefully it's not going to come back and bite him too hard.
No, and it's not that hard to get back to. Usually if you have a situation like this where you find the well and you don't have a bomb, you kind of make it a point to come back here pretty soon after you get a bomb.
Yeah, speaking of, oh my gosh, so we're basically, dungeon heavy, and you know what? GT is a great find in this case for norskmatty because he already found the pearl. I guess we're not going to basically hear any bunny music, I guess, today. And also a small, I don't know if this is necessarily vanilla, but it definitely is a small key to GT already.
Couldn't tell you if that's where a small key is. Ooh, there's also a glove there.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Okay. It is. For sure. Now, of course, that glove, especially there, gives us actually, I would say, a lot of hope. Maybe a little bit of, maybe hopium, because, so we do know, of course, at Crosskeys that myths are not necessarily always required. We don't know, of course, that, because gloves are progressive, if that is actually our first glove or our, potentially not necessarily second glove. But, well, the fact that the glove is there might be an indicator that boots might be showing up sooner. That's the hope, at least.
Right. And it's funny, you want to kind of, it was important that norskmatty checked the torch. That's not something a lot of that every runner does. There are some runners who, are like, oh, I don't need to worry about the torch right now. I can just come back to it when I have boots. Well, Yes,
Yeah.
but you never know how like big
Mhm.
of a priority you want to make it.
Oh yeah, no, this is especially like this type of earlier knowledge is actually going to be this really useful, right? Just like, for example, like you check out like Desert Ledge if you kind of happen to be in the area, like if there's something important there, you actually might want to be chasing more connectors right early on versus if you know there's something that's going to be not as incentivizing for you to get, maybe you can put it off a bit. So certainly would not. Could actually be quite beneficial to just spend the extra couple seconds, right, in order to get some more information.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure Fear would want what norskmatty's been picking a lot of,
That's true.
which are
See,
bombs.
quite the yeah, and of course, right. We do see Fear, of course, do more traditional Houlihan after the well, just because kind of already in the area. So he's got plenty of money, but man, we have not found a bomb shop yet for Fear. So poor guy, right? Have all the money, no bombs, norskmatty, pretty poor. But he's been picking up bombs out every which way. That's also a small key to swap. Small keys, very interesting.
Yeah, so that'll be a nice early pickup for norskmatty. One thing we're seeing Fear doing is checking the eastern area, which is honestly a route that I like to do, but I don't like to do it if I don't have bombs. So I would normally have stopped, but it doesn't look like it's hurting Fear all that much. It didn't look like we found anything of value or anything that was explicitly bomb locked in the eastern area.
Yeah, and of course, is this like rubbing salt to injury? Because, we found a shop, but it's like the one shop we can't actually do anything with.
Right.
Fear doesn't need anymore. He doesn't want to steal. Doesn't certainly can't get a bee, and certainly we don't need any more arrows. Just not without a bow.
But for Fear Agent, this will be good because his route will take him to where norskmatty picked up some bombs. I think we'll also check the bush cap, which is not something I don't think norskmatty did. Just some errors though, so no
Yeah, looks
big
like
deal.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, any type of early resources, for what it's worth, is always going to be very useful, because you really don't know necessarily when your first weapon is going to show up, especially if your first weapon happens to be a bow. But, at least, earlier on, as you mentioned earlier, right, bombs are pretty much like the hot commodity right now, as that's actually going to be probably, at least for the near foreseeable future, that's going to be basically our weaponry and offense.
Yeah, because if you're playing like a non-entrant seed, you usually have your set starting rut, which for the most part is an early Kakariko play. And usually by the time you're done with Kakariko, you have a weapon of some sort, whether that be, like you said, the bow, whether that be the hammer, whether that be a sword. You're not obviously going to maybe find those things early on in a Crosskey seed because it's entrance shuffle. We shuffle all the entrances. Lord knows where anything is.
Yeah, alright. Well, so norskmatty, speaking of our bombs being our only offense, phew. Alright, so good thing he had 10 bombs because mini Moldorms don't always have to cooperate with you. But luckily he was able to back man. Oh, shit! Okay.
Alright.
I was gonna say, that ice rod, without any magic, he maybe had one shot or two, but you know what? That half magic instantly makes the ice rod another viable weapon.
Yeah, doesn't kill everything, but definitely, can help you with, freezing enemies. Then you get to play some of the strats of like, hey, I have just froze this enemy. I'm going to throw this enemy at other
Exactly. That's right. Hopefully we're going to get some front of escape at some point. And of course, right, as you did mention, Ice Rod, for the most part, of course, does freeze most enemies, but it does, in this case, get a little bit of game knowledge. Maybe in this case, we'll see norskmatty or Fear kind of come up with it. Like, for example, Blue Guards go down. Wizropes go down, actually, with the Ice Rod, so actually pretty cool to see. I want to say that they're all going to be, like, some, especially, I think we just found Meyer, that actually might be, like, a viable weapon for us to be able to clear it if we can actually get past the front gates.
It's very true. With bombs, with the ice rod, like you said, we can get a number of checks in there, but we still need those boots or the hook shots.
All right, norskmatty. Well, we're exploring Kakariko on a budget. He managed to scrounge up just enough cash in order to pay off Bottle Vendor and getting another GT small key. So kind of interesting that these are kind of showing up early.
Yeah, so 2 GT small keys, does some things for us, not a whole lot. They're you got to take the key situation into account. norskmatty down to 1 bomb though, so got to be a little careful and doesn't have any money to buy bombs. Obviously, they know where you can get bombs, but that's kind of a ways away at this point. You're not gonna stop your route to really like go back and get bombs.
Right. The restock room is what, Lost Woods, right? It's, I mean, it's not bad. You know what? Speaking of bombs, exactly.
Why did we even say that?
Exactly. Norse Matty, he knows he must have like a bomb pit. It's like a truffle pig, but they sniff out bombs instead of truffles. He apparently knows where everything is. So.
I mean, that's the whole point of this game, right? Is to just go to the places that have progression.
Exactly, yes. And you know what? While bombs are not logical progression, like as we've seen, Norse Matty basically taking care of Mini Moldercane with just bombs. You have to have something in order to be offensive.
Yep, so we're seeing, kind of the rest of the Kakariko area. Didn't get a whole lot. Like, we found 2 dungeons, Meyer and GT. Did find a number of connectors. So there's a lot of connectors in Kakariko.
Oh, no!
We are 5 rupees short. 4 rupees short.
We have, oh man. So I think there are, like, a handful of, like, green rupees by some of the bushes, I want to say. Maybe Norse Matty is willing to kind of farm up a couple here and there in order to make his way over, to get across the 30 rupee thresholds.
Will be interesting to see how they kind of approach it, because this is, we're just short.
It is, and you know what? At least that early play, Wildfear, potentially has a one isolate check in the well. Where the user's fairy drop is. He did manage to Houlihan, and he has more than enough cash in this case.
Yep. One thing we did see on Race Game were the flippers. So once we pick up the mirror, assuming that there is not a connector immediately over there, we will be able to pick up those flippers.
Yeah, that's right. Either a mirror or some sort of connector that kind of gets us over there. But of course, right. Speaking of connectors, yeah, we have already found our way to the Dark World. Good thing we got that Moon Pearl as well. While bunny walking to this specific location isn't going to be too big of a deal. Bunny form versus non-bunny form, always kind of be nice to be able to have the Moon Pearl.
Jumping down there is also like the most dangerous thing in the game,
because
I really don't know what what do you do differently between one jump down to another to where you get hit by the Murderdactyl or the Murderdactyl doesn't hit you. I couldn't tell you anything about is there a specific strategy? Do you jump down at a specific time? Do you hold I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, that extra heart container that Fear has, right, actually could make a difference. Right, Norse Matty, Murderdactyls do 3 hearts of damage. If Fear actually goes over there with full health, he doesn't have to worry.
Yeah, but getting full health right now is maybe not something that Fear will pick up by then.
Let's see actually what we're gonna get in Chess Cave, because this is gonna be something that Fear is gonna be able to afford. But speaking of, in Thieves Town, yet another front of the dungeon that we found, Norse Matty manages to locate our first weapon, our first real weapon in this case, which is a sword.
You love an early sword in this game.
Oh heck yeah. Instant comfort, by the way. I think, even, I would say, before, maybe even, this might be more of a hot take, even before, boots or mirror, items that make the game, tremendously playable, a sword just kind of gives you a lot of comfort, right? Both physical and, just, mentally. Because, in this case, you basically can, your durability and survivability just goes up through the roof with a sword.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned items for, comfort purposes, and obviously, everyone wants to find boots, but, boots without a sword, yes, you still have your dashes, but you're a lot more, those dashes are much more dangerous because you don't have a sword to kind of push enemies out of your way.
Exactly, yeah, especially if you're dashing around without a sword in the Dark World, that's not really a good time. Speaking of not necessarily a good time,
we're fine.
We're fine. We're fine. That's right. You know what? Good thing we didn't die, because this would have been a pretty unfortunate, place to have to come back to.
We do see blind set, so another 5-item cave. Fear is also having trouble with these mini molders. They are playing rude as well.
All right. Wow, man. Talk about comfort. All right. So we do have a fire source now, which is a lamp, but of course, no more dark rooms either. So more comfort to them.
We picked up our 3rd GT key. I am very curious at this point.
Oh,
a Master Sword too.
Another sword. Yeah, good thing Norse Matty didn't die on his way here. It would have been quite unfortunate to basically be down a sword, basically.
Yeah. So going back to what I was saying earlier before that sword popped up, 3 GT small keys already. That puts a number of checks into logic once we have the ability to get to them. So that specifically puts Ice Armos and the back of and where the Vanilla Big Key is into logic. Of course, like I said, we still need Hammer Hookshot or Canis Maria Fire Rod.
Mm-hmm.
But I would not be surprised if there is stuff in GT today, given our early access to 3 small keys.
Yeah, and well, right, and you mentioned the couple items in this case, like they're logically required, of course, in order to kind of get back there. Honestly, like I would certainly not be surprised if both Norskmatty and Fear knows how to sequence break the right side of GT with only just the lamp. Might be a little bit tight on this particular set of equipment, but if they happen to find the Canis Maria, right, certainly could be a very viable play.
Absolutely, and it's like you said, it's not the easiest thing to do. But hopefully with boots, it'll kind of make it a little bit easier. Fear's going to save and quit, not check any of the connectors. A little bit interesting. Did not get anything of value out of chess game, just 10 errors.
Yeah. Right. So in this case, like we know it's not going to be anything punishing for Norskmatty, but in this case, like if he does in this case, choose to go back there, so he won't be missing out on anything.
Yep, unfortunately, did get wall mastered.
Yes, it was the non-intentional getting wall mastered. So oftentimes you see it, just so we want a free ride back, but yeah, this was not the case.
And we learned that it is the good version
amazing.
of Skullwoods today. Meaning we don't have to play the guess which drop down we're going to jump down and hope for the best.
Sometimes the game is kind to us. So only sometimes, though. Sometimes. Well, speaking of more connector dungeons, alright, so we have found one at the Laser Eye entrance of Turtle Rock, not to be confused, of course, with Laser Bridge entrance. In this case, going to give Fear a couple more extra checks in this dungeon.
Yeah, still the scariest thing in the world was when you walk into that entrance and you're like, oh god, I'm getting shot. No sword, so can't use that bombos. Could conceivably kill this Pokey with the Ice Rod, but with the small key in hand, we're just gonna let the Pokey hold on to his key for a little bit longer.
Yeah, very, very understandable. Well, alright, so we did find a blue mail, though, in the pop prison of Skullwoods. So certainly going to be, well, again, I think at this point, Norskmatty might be more interested in survivability, so blue mail certainly would help with that, but the longer the game goes, right, we're really going to want to see that mirror show up, because the more health we get, the harder it is going to be in order to death warp out.
Yeah. Like you said, having the ability to death warp quick is nice, but you still want to have survivability in general. Fear's got to be a little bit careful.
Yeah, speaking of survivability, alright, so safely in this case got his 3 bombs from Chomp's chest. But yeah, I was gonna say, like, speaking of survivability, you kind of saw some pretty scary moments on, Norskmatty's side, basically, venturing forth, into Dark World, so certainly would not probably complain at this point for getting some blue mail.
Yep. Fear, meanwhile, finishing his trek into Turtle Rock, didn't get anything of value, but he's going to go over here, check some more Sphere 0 entrances. Fear's being, a little bit thorough with kind of, like I said, the Sphere 0 checks, because it tends to often be where you get the most things. But I imagine with all the connectors that we saw in Kakariko, that some of those connectors have to be on his mind to, start taking some dips.
Yeah, and I guess
because we do have a move roll.
Oh yeah. I was actually going to ask you, Walkick. So, Fear's kind of making his way over to, the desert area, and he did kind of walk past one of the, speaking of desert, just slightly displaced, but he did kind of, walk past one of, the 50 rupee rock. So, I mean, is that something that you would kind of maybe want to try and wait for, to find a glove, or the fact that you think that maybe we saw a glove already means that we maybe, are willing to basically venture over here early?
I think, well, real quick, Norskmatty has picked up both the cape and the mirror.
Yeah,
very nice finds.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Over in the Village of Outcast area. So Norskmatty's decisions, paying off early very nicely. As for, what you're saying about your decision to maybe avoid some of the areas that might have a glove entrance, I'm generally not too worried about the desert area glove. I'm a little bit more hesitant to walk all the way over to, say, Light World Shopping Mall if I don't have a glove.
Very fair.
It largely depends on, what is my Dark World access at this point. Like, have I picked up a Moon Pearl? So if I've got the ability to do like Dark World, there's a third sword.
I know.
Norskmatty has 3 swords already, and Fear has yet to
Fear
go.
is none. That's right. So yeah, so I mean, but for what it's worth, Fear is not too far in this case from his, from his first or second or third sword for that matter. But yes, it is quite the difference in terms of offense. That norskmatty basically is on like comfort, like coasting at this point, having already tempered sword, and Fear is kind of still, well, he's making good use of that ice rod for sure. But I certainly probably would be, pretty happier with at least one sword out there.
Fear while rescuing the old man. Just a piece of heart. Chat bringing up an interesting point, and this is kind of a decision that it looks like norskmatty isn't even considering, but with the sanctuary start being at Lumberjack, you could be required to essentially do AGA 1 in order to access the back of Escape. Do you steal the key? Like I said, looks like norskmatty isn't even considering that because they've already used the key, and they're just going to get these checks right here.
Oh, speaking of AGA 1. Yeah, so Fear in this case actually did find AGA Tower entrance at the, I forgot what that entrance is called, but it's like the center one in Death Mountain.
Yeah, it's the back of the old man.
Yeah, that's right. But of course, right, in order to logically beat AGA 1, though, we are going to have to find those Castle Tower small keys. There's none of this, like main tournament, key sanity, Castle Tower keys are in, their respective dungeons. No. This is full-on Crosskeys, as you said, best tournament, in the entire history of Randomizer. So we're going to have to basically find everything there is.
norskmatty with the lamp, going to check Dark Cross, something that is in logic. Do have to be a little bit careful, although with Blue Mill, these enemies will still only do 1 heart, but this can always be a little bit dangerous when you're doing this without a lamp and you're doing the Dark World version, because if you're unsure, when you're in the Dark World, that's a big key to Desert.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Wait, we haven't found the back of Desert yet, but we did find the front, right? So that is going to be an additional check.
Yes, so Fear found it, norskmatty has not, so that'll be one thing that norskmatty can do. But yeah, what I was saying earlier is that if you're in, say, like a Light World entrance, but it's in the Dark World, the enemies will be the Dark World version of those entrances, or of Dark World, whatever, I just said entrance. Yeah, they'll be the Dark World version of those enemies, right. And thus they do more damage.
Yeah, right. I mean, just like in this case, like the rats and like the crickets, right, that you see in the upper, part of Thieves Town, like the attic, like those are kind of like the Light World, Dark World swapping. So in this case, if you happen to go into Hyrule Castle in the Dark World, those rats, basically in ropes are basically like crickets. Oh, someone's actually gonna be able to get the flippers. That's right.
Ooh, our old
Smatty looks like he is at least gonna check. Oh, that's right. He hasn't done race gaming. Yeah, he hasn't done chess game. That's right. Now he's flush with cash, at least 30 rupees richer. that's the important part.
Our old man saving quit point today, by the way, is on Floating Island, which overall not bad.
Yeah, that's actually pretty. Yeah.
Fear will be happy with that once he picks up the mirror. In norskmatty, we know it's just over in the village area. norskmatty is also going to be picking up his flippers, so no complaints there.
Yeah, and of course, right.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. I was going to say, like, speaking of, like, so potential, the mirror is actually, while is very powerful, just kind of like what we're actually seeing on norskmatty's side, the mirror can, if not used properly, could actually bleed a bit of time, right? Mirror bonks, in this particular case, actually are much more expensive in terms of time than you might expect. Like, going, like, to the Dark World and Light World again and going to this portal transition is surprisingly long.
Yeah, and like, the mirror can make a lot of things efficient, like we're going to be able to check a lot of entrances, but at what point do you say norskmatty is going along and doing the route that he's doing right now, like he can do Cave 45, he can do Swamp, the Swamp Palace entrance, Hype Cave entrance, and combo those with their Light World equivalent. But like, what happens if, say, at Cave 45 we find a connector? Do we take the connector, or do we continue on our route?
Yep.
You could be faced with a lot of different questions about a lot of different decisions that you would have to make over the course of a seed. do find King's Tomb over on fearagent side where the Quake medallion was.
Yeah, so now Fear is 2 medallions. Still, sadly, no sword in order to be able to use anything. He does have that really nice half magic. I think he was trying to preemptively get a Murderdactyl down. Hey, look, good thing we have the Ice Route because it does one-shot them. It does one-shot them, which is good.
Do you see the Super Money Cave entrance? We do know that the other side of that is in Kakariko, so we don't need to worry about, don't need to worry about taking it.
Man, Fear is, Fear. I think, really thankful for that Ice Rod and half magic. Holy cow.
And yeah, he is putting that Ice Rod to really good use.
You mentioned this before, right? This is where we can basically freeze enemies and then pick them up and throw them at other enemies. I mean, this is basically our makeshift, I don't know, bow at this point.
These are things you only see in Crosskeys, by the way. How often in a regular seat are you walking to pod with the, checks notes, Ice Rod?
Yeah, exactly. Ice Rod, that's right.
Of doing damage.
Mm-hmm. Now, Fear has been quite resourceful in this case. I like also, by the way, that like the 25-minute Link's house check on norskmatty's side.
Not even saving and quitting to Link's house, by the way.
Yeah,
that's right. Via the mirror when you're in the dark world.
Only Crosskeys things, apparently.
Like I can't believe that we just saw that.
Alright, Fear. Much more successful, in this case, Flake Flipper over to the portal. I think Fear is probably going to go back in order to get his bomb-blocked item from the well. Just so in this case we don't isolate it even more. Probably also, good idea on Fear's side, just so, we don't necessarily have to keep thinking in this case about, like, oh, I still have an item left in the well, and then, the longer you put it off, right, the more it just kind of weighs on you throughout the scene.
Yep, just a piece of hard, though, so nothing too worrisome. On norskmatty's side, obviously, we're seeing, kind of like you said, we've seen a couple of instances where they maybe go back into the mirror portal before they want to, so, bleeding a little time there, but still overall being very efficient
for sure.
What they're picking up. So things that fearagent is doing now, like checking the chicken hut house that he saw early on but couldn't do anything with the bomb, looks like norskmatty is going to be able to do that, along with checking the Dark World fortune teller shop near Dark Lake Hylia.
Yeah,
I don't remember what the names of these entrances are. That's a whole separate thing that is always amusing to. If you really want to go into like the names of entrances in a spoiler log, you get some really good names.
Oh yeah, that's right. And honestly, like, in order to be, you kind of almost need like a spoiler log, like location catalog, just so like, oh, that's what the thing is called, or that's what the place is called. It's like, I don't know if I would have done it, but then it's like you read it, it's like, I guess that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, you look at it and you're like, what's Long Fairy Cave, and then you go in the entrance
right. I remember that.
like you check the vanilla game and you're like, oh, that's Long Fairy Cave, and you're like,
yeah, that's right. I was like, I guess. Yeah.
That is in fact a long cave, and that is in fact a fairy cave. All right, that checks out.
Yep. Yeah, but it definitely does make you think a bit, which is actually quite funny. All right, so it looks like we did find Magic Bat on Fear's side. Actually, I'm not sure if norskmatty ended up finding this earlier. Probably hasn't been over here quite yet.
Yeah, norskmatty hasn't been over there. I do believe that
was a nice pull.
We're down to Lumberjack and Lost Woods Thief as our remaining 2 drop downs. We have not seen the one at Sanctuary. Hello, Hype Cave.
Yes,
this could be like a thing.
Yeah, this is talk about Sphere 0 checks. This is kind of a thing. All right, we got some money. Oh, we have a bow. Oh, and we have I think that's our first bottle too. But that bow is certainly going to be pretty interesting. So Fear, at least on Fear's side, while he's still swordless, he's going to be pretty happy to see that bow, which is going to be his second weapon in this case.
Alright, looks like Fear's heading back to the Kakariko area. Now it's just going to be a matter of which connector does Fear checks. Got to be careful with his health. He doesn't know that, of course. But if he takes the same one that norskmatty did, he'll be popping out and playing the, boy, I hope this Murderdactyl doesn't murder me.
Yeah, that's true.
that's
yeah,
nice.
quite the yeah. I was gonna say also quite the discrepancy. So I know the Fear also did Houlihan earlier, but it's like Norse Matty's up 3 swords versus Fear 0, and Norse Matty is like I don't know. I think he broke 100 rupees at some point, like during the game before chess game. But
did buy bottle vendor money yet? Or
that's
has
right.
bought bottle vendor,
Yep.
so.
And then he has just been constantly under the 100 rupee mark. Or Fear, I think he's just like he's been flush with cash since basically since minute 1.
Yep. Fear is doing Spiral Cave. We do know we have seen that this pops out at Lightworld Hype Cave entrance, so this is strictly just checking the item. I'll be curious to see if Fear maybe goes over towards. Oh my god, that's a hammer!
Oh, alright, so that is weapon number 3 on Fear's side. Still swordless, but man, that hammer certainly is quite nice. I mean, it does do temper sword damage. Well, it's not necessarily a quite replacement for swords. It still at least gets a lot of offensive power. Also, a lot more mobility. Just because we have hammer, we can actually go places like in the Dark Worlds.
Yeah, and I mean, once Fear picks up, their boots, wherever they might be, that'll also just essentially give him regular Dark World access. Really curious to know when norskmatty will make that play, because they both know where the connector leads, so it's at this point just strictly just an item check. And so you're just, I'm not sure when. I imagine they'll do it sooner rather than later. You're going to want to do, you want to check your item caves. You don't want to put them off too long, so I suspect norskmatty will probably get there maybe in like 25-ish minutes, I'm gonna say, because
that's so long.
I'm saying that because norskmatty has the flippers, has a mirror, and has the Dark World portal. Like, they're gonna head over, do light and Dark World shopping mall.
That's definitely
head over
very
to the
true.
Pod Eastern area. They're gonna go to the they're gonna go to the pyramid, mirror on top of the pyramid. Like, there are so many entrances that norskmatty is gonna be doing over the course of the next 25 to 30 minutes that they're not gonna get to Spiral Cave for a while.
Yeah, no, that's certainly actually a very good point, because the more items in this case you have, right? norskmatty has, as you just mentioned, flippers, mirror, in this case early pearl, right? He has a lot more nicer and more palatable options than like the one slow, 5 heart Spiral Cave that's basically nowhere close to where he is, right?
Also, didn't pay attention at all to what Fear found at Lightworld Shopping Mall. So
he found Desert Rite as an entrance, and then I believe also a fairy fountain, and we of course don't have a glove in order to check the third one.
All right, perfect.
Alright, speaking of though, no flippers does not slow Fear down one bit, because in this case, we're still able to fake flipper over everywhere. We got a red boomerang, potentially, actually, you know what? The fact that Fear is still swordless, that red boomerang is actually pretty nice. He was quite resourceful, by the way, like in Ice Rock Cave area, because he was only still, when he got over there, he was on 2 hearts, and for those of you who may or may not remember some of the main tournament matches, those crabs, by the way, do 2 hearts of damage, and it's probably taken down at least one runner, and kind of decided, a match here or there. So, the fact that Fear was able to take all the crabs down with just bombs and arrows was quite nice.
There may or may not be a runner who has died to crabs multiple times in the main tournament. How is said runner in the final 4? I can't believe. No, I'm just kidding. Some armor works better than others.
Plot
armor greater than regular Nog. No. Of course, Andy is an incredible runner. Is winning on his own merits. Like, obviously not plot armor. We're just poking fun here.
That's of course, yeah. Alright, so in this case, norskmatty picking up his quick medallion, of course, with 3 swords. You don't often see, of course, medallions being necessarily used as much, but, the Mire and Turtle Rock entrances still, in this case, could be something important, so always kind of nice to be able to see medallions.
Yeah, so 2 medallions is pretty nice early. We did see that there is a small key on Zora Ledge. Curious to see if Fear's going to attempt to sequence break it. Still is walking on water, so has to be a little bit careful here.
Alright, that compass is probably not going to ever get picked up, but I was going to say, yeah, like, Fear, in this case, does have, like, equipment in order to do so. He's got bombs and arrows. Very, very nicely done. Like I said, I mean, who needs flippers? Certainly not Fear at this point.
I would say Fear saw those flippers and has chosen violence instead.
Yeah. Oh, small key to ice. If the first small key to ice is actually quite nice. Makes routing Ice Palace when we do find it really nice.
Nice rhyme. Clear mouse can rhyme. I'm sorry.
I didn't realize that until you pointed it out. Yes, the rap album is coming sometime next year.
I am very much looking forward to it.
Alright, if you're remembering this case, that's right. I just don't remember what tier tree pull that was, but he did see that tier the tree pull when he was in over the Hydro Castle area, so really nice to be able to restock on, well, bombs and arrows at this point. Be able to test that stun prize as well.
At this point, I have to imagine that's a tier 2 a tier 2 pull. Alright, where is Fear headed off to now? Which connector is he going to take? Looks like he's going to take the same one that norskmatty took, which is good. We'll send Fear over to the West Darkwood area.
Yeah,
and with 4 hearts.
That's right. That's
able to survive.
That's very, very important. We don't have the blue mail from Skullwoods quite yet, so Fear hopefully should be able to make his way over. And
Fear got hit. Couldn't tell you why, but Fear got hit there. norskmatty didn't.
Yeah, I want to say that almost like you can't control something. I mean, I think I've heard varying stories, but I mean, like, I think at some point people just say, you know what, I just hope that things go well for me. That's it.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, Fear's got to be careful because Fear has 1 heart. norskmatty, meanwhile, is going to head over to the pyramid. We have seen some of this on fearagent side because Fear did pop out of the pyramid fairy entrance. So we have seen what was on Pyramid Ledge that I don't remember. But what we haven't seen is the entrances on top of Hyrule Castle.
Yeah, right. And this is going to be another one of those instances where, of course, having an early mirror, right, it's certainly going to be able to afford not only efficiency on norskmatty's side, but also, like, for all we know, this is basically going to be our way to access, like, the northern 3 entrances. With, of course, the Tempered Sword, of course, Fear, I think, is going to pick up his, at least, Fighter Sword here very shortly. Fear is not going to have access yet. Because he can't, no cape, and only Fighter Sword means that we cannot, in this case, access the middle entrance on his side.
Nope, but that'll be, like, he'll be able to pick that up, obviously, because the cape is right next to the mirror.
Right.
So, that really won't be an issue. Plus, he'll pick up Master Sword probably soon when he heads over to the Curiosity Shop entrance.
Yes. So, assuming he is going to Death Warp here, so he'll have a little bit more health, but hopefully in this case, yeah, he doesn't, take it... He doesn't take it early. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, at least we already found Sankheart, by the way, so that's at least a good thing. So Fear doesn't have to worry in this case. But man, yeah, early death warping is definitely not recommended.
So norskmatty, again, continuing their just massive trek through all of these entrances, hasn't really been baited by any sort of connectors. We did see one in. Oh no, we didn't even see it was a Hyrule Castle entrance at K45.
Oh my gosh, talk about connectors.
Paradox. So I wonder if maybe norskmatty ends their route here. Like this is kind of a solid place to end your world tour as of right now. So I suspect norskmatty will check the 3rd entrance of Paradox after picking up the 7 items, of course.
Yeah, alright, so yeah, speaking of on Fear's side though, like we did pick up the Master Sword, we did pick up the lamp. We're going to pick up Master Swords here very certainly. We already picked up the lamp, and so that means he has safely made his way into the Curiosity Shop that is Blind's Hut. Small key to Mire, interesting. I mean, always, again, first key, it's like Mire and Ice Palace. So those are always really nice to have routing keys. But other than that, not really anything that kind of opens things up.
Right. For logical purposes, 3 Mire small keys gives you access to the Firelock side. And that's really kind of all you need to consider when it comes to Mire.
Right.
Our Hyrule Castle small key, which
I'm
sure norskmatty is going to like.
That's right.
Did not steal and check the back, so Aga at this point, not happening.
certainly does not, of course, preclude the 2 chests in Aga Tower, by the way.
Right.
But yes, Aga, that's right. But yeah, Aga himself looks like it's probably not going to happen, at least for this particular scene.
He can go to bed early.
That's we're all looking to go to bed earlier tonight. Oh man, speaking of, we're finding more dungeons. Very nice drop here on Norskmatty's side, at least like the Light World Laser Bridge entrance. We did find another palace, Ice Palace, but of course we actually I don't think we know of any of our prizes at this point. No pendants, no crystals.
Nope. I know we've picked up a map to Turtle Rock. Couldn't tell you if we've picked up any other map. One of our wonderful trackers, Tofel, indicating to us that Turtle Rock is a crystal. So that's really good.
Yeah, no, thanks. Thank you so much, Tofile. And Jinxie for tracking this. By the way, Tofile he is on double duty today. He actually tracked like the 8 p.m. race, which happened a couple hours earlier today. So definitely big shout outs to him.
Yep. And again, this is week 1 of the 2022 Link to the Past Randomizer Crosskeys Tournament. So you're going to see a lot of crosskeys here on ZSR in the coming months.
And if you have any complaints or praise, I believe Wallkicks is a newly promoted admin. So feel free to drop any feedback that you might have. Wallkicks, I already have feedback for you. This is the greatest tournament in the history of Rando, so good job.
Hey, love to hear that. We do see the back of deserts.
Talk about having that Desert Palace Biki. This is going to be, some actually fresh new information on us. Now, of course, I don't think we found the Desert Palace small key, so I think technically this is not like in logic.
Without the small key, Landmo is not in logic, but
right.
I mean, you're not going to ignore it when you have a fire source, a tempered sword, and everything that you need to do.
Oh yeah, that's 100% correct. I mean, right now, both runners, very much aware in this case of logical implications, but it's certainly not going to probably preclude you from being, in this case, efficient and potentially claiming your first crystal. Looks like though, with the lamp, and then of course is our only fire source, and as you mentioned, right, we've got quite a few number of choices for how to take down Lambo. My guess is we'll see some ice rod shots, maybe a couple sword spins here and there. I'm always hoping for that bow, but I think Norskmatty is probably not gonna grant that today.
Yeah, tempered, you're gonna be like, all right, I can, I can generally use tempered, although having a little bit of a difficult start. Does get one down. I think they're in position to get at least another one down.
Yeah, and of course, right. I mean, the ice rod has a little bit of a different, delayed timing, versus the fire rod. So not going to be probably as fast as the kill, but certainly going to be taking a little bit more adjustment if you're not quite accustomed to it.
Yep, but that is crystal number 1 for Norskmatty. 41 minutes in, not too shabby.
Yeah, actually for Crosskeys, that's actually pretty dang good. Crosskeys, can often happens where you're like an hour and a half, with basically like no crystals. And then of course at the end, right, it basically is just like, you get 5 crystals in the next 20 minutes. But, for a 41-minute crystal, it's still pretty good.
And the first dungeon you clear is a crystal, like bonus.
That's also very true. It's like the first one you're able to, of course it's going to be a pendant, because why would you ever give me crystals?
Why would you ever give me the ability to clear a crystal? Crystal number 1 in Norskmatty's hand. They're going to check the this connector, Hookshot Cave, and find themselves on West Dark World or West Death Mountain now.
Yeah. Meanwhile, though, Fear has in this case located his cape and specifically in this case the mirror, so he's actually going to also be able to get his temper sword as well. You also did mention potentially there might be some save scumming going on. I guess we're going to see what Fear decides to do. Oh,
Fear's going to say, just take this to the back. All right. I don't believe there was anything of value in the other 2 checks here in the front of Escape.
I believe there was
a shield.
Yeah, that's right. That's the only thing I remember that was even of note, and honestly, it's not even like noteworthy. So I guess we may not be seeing Mirror Shield on Fear's side, but I guess that's maybe something he's probably willing to live without.
Yeah, it'll depend. Like, I suspect he's going to pick up the Hyrule Castle key in pretty quick order, because He's here in the Village of Outcasts, but with the mirror, he can do the sequence break to get into Paradox, which is where the Hyrule Castle small key actually is. So, I suspect Fear will probably pick up his Hyrule Castle key pretty soon, but that is the Desert Key on Fear's side, which we know is required.
Yeah, and of course, this is actually going to be a couple new checks for us as Fear makes his way over, to the back of Escape. Now, good, of course, he did, again, came from the Dark World, so while he's still on, 3 Hearts Blue Mail, isn't going to probably be too worried, but still, something to keep in mind.
I think the boots are going to be here.
I really hope in this case the boots are here. I mean, and honestly, talk about mobility, right? We've actually found some really good things, right? We've got all the way already Temper Sword, we found a bow, alright? We got a couple of medallions, got Ice Rod, I got a hammer on Fear's side. Where's our mobility, though? There's a Castle Tower key, alright. Key to Thieves Town.
Big, okay.
Interesting. Okay, well, Kicks, are you gonna try and clear Thieves Town without the small key? Or is that something you kind of want to wait on?
Yeah, I've got the hammer in tow. I might want to hold off on that for a little bit. Yeah, I would put it off for a little bit. I'm not gonna put it off for too long, but I want to see. There's a lot of entrances I haven't found. Let's see if I can sniff out this Thieves Town small key before I'm committing to it. Plus, I don't even know if it's a pendant or a crystal yet.
Right. Mm-hmm. Alright, because that's actually interesting. I think that's our second pod. No, that is our third pod key. Yes, thank you, Tofal. or Jinxie. Not sure which one's tracking norskmatty, but this is why we love our trackers, by the way. Everything is accurate and up to date.
Yep. And Fear's being a little bit more thorough with some of the mirror stuff. So when norskmatty picked up the mirror, didn't really mirror and do some of the Kakariko area stuff. Fear, is taking his mirror and checking this Southwest Death Mountains foothill cave.
Yeah, that's right. one of the most Crosskeys entrance names that I've ever come across.
Yeah. It's funny enough, I don't even think that's the name of the entrance or whatever, but in the hint system back when hints were a thing, that's what that hint refers to that entrance, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not a better name though. That's the thing.
Yeah, right, exactly. I mean, it's like a long fairy cave, right? Certainly in spoiler log. It's well, that name certainly sounds silly, but it's what are you gonna call it otherwise? It's it makes a lot of sense, right? You know exactly what location that is.
Alright, so we're going to see what this big key is up on Spec Rock. It is the big key to Ganon's Tower.
Okay. Are we climbing?
I mean, there's three small keys. There's another big
key. Mm-hmm. Oh, there's another big key. I didn't even. Oh, I meant to catch which entrance that was, but that was not Ganon 2. So, or that was not Aga 2.
That was the lumberjack, lumberjack at the back at the sanctuary entrance.
Right. Okay. All right. So at least we do know that we're gonna need at least one glove today. But of course both runners in this case saw there was one glove on GT Torch. We have not seen any inkling of where those boots are.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where the boots end up being. I'm curious. I'm assuming Fear is probably going to drop down the same entrance that norskmatty found and do Hype Cave. Or not Hype Cave, Ice Palace. It'll be interesting to see if Fear takes a dip into Ice Palace.
He does have the hammer, right? And in this case makes it, I would say, a bit more, palatable. For norskmatty, he hasn't been into, again, you mentioned earlier, right? We haven't been to the Spiral Cave connection because we have so many other options for us, which is for us where Fear found his hammer. And so, with a fire, the ability to clear, to get past the front gates with bombos and, in this case, Temper Sword, with a hammer, and a small key, right? Actually, looks pretty okay.
And, so at this point, there's kind of 3 bad areas, and by that I mean you have Eastern Palace without the big key, which never. I am not biased towards that or anything.
Are we fighting today, Walkix? Is that what's happening?
I am not biased about that at all. You have Ice Palace without, a glove, and you have like the GT climb without boots or hookshot. Which, yes, you could go and you can mold or mets if you know how to, but those are not great checks.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, if we have anything else that we can find, right, that kind of can be able to point us into, a better direction, that would be super. But, Fear's thinking about it. Looks like he is going to go in.
I agree with this. This is... Well, I was going to say it's hard to get back to, but it really isn't for Fear.
Right, because he knows in this case where the old man's heart is, and he has the mirror, right, so he can actually get back to it. So, honestly, this is probably not going to be too big of a deal.
Yeah. Also, I think it is time to point out that for the first time at the 49-minute mark, norskmatty saved and quit.
That's true, because we did see him, at like the 25-minute mark, basically walk his way over to, Link's house. Not even saving quitting, so this is quite interesting.
To answer chat, the Lost Woods hideout is behind Aga 2.
Alright, looks like though Fear, was only really willing to do the first check.
Yeah.
Probably not also necessarily, unreasonable just because, we also don't really have a King of Samaria that can get us, like, too many places either. So maybe Fear was kind of interested in saying, like, I'll check the first, item. If it has something great, but if it doesn't, I can always get back here pretty quickly.
That's a very solid, like, strategy right there. Because that first chest can sometimes be like, ooh, I don't know about this. By the way, good thing what norskmatty's doing is going to be picking up their hammer.
Yes,
in short order.
very. Yeah, curious. Finally in this case, was able to run out of at least some more appealing options and kind of ending his route here.
Yep, curious to see if we maybe do some sequence breaking in Ganon's Tower with the hammer and a sword and some bombs. You can get over to...
Yeah, that is absolutely true. You
can get over to Stalfos' room pretty easily. You generally don't want to go too far past Stalfos' room with just bombs because then you're just using a lot of bombs. But it can be worth sequence breaking those 4 checks just because it can give you maybe not a clue as to where the hookshot is, but it could tell you what the hookshot leads to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and plus it's also 4 items, right? A sequence between the left side, in order to get stuff, it's certainly going to be a lot more appealing with boots. But yeah, I think as you mentioned, right, just getting over there with only bombs isn't going to be too bad. And of course, both runners are pretty, healthily stocked. I know that Fear knows about what the tier 2 triple for 8 bomb refill. Not necessarily sure if norskmatty can do that, but I mean, I think at this point he also has more than enough money. If he just wants to buy bombs as well, like he should be pretty good.
Yeah. Curious to see where norskmatty is heading off to now. Might be doing exactly what I was... Nope, just kidding. We are going somewhere else. Where are we going, Clear Mouse? We're going back into Paradox. We've seen where all of these lead.
Alright, Lamos 2, Lamos 2, so getting him ahead of himself. Lamos 1, down on Fear's side, also his first crystal.
Alright, so, I mean, technically it is land mode. It's the second time we've seen land mode, so,
that's true.
You could theoretically argue that was land mode too.
That's right. Okay, so we're going to definitely look forward to Lamos 3 on norskmatty or Fear's side.
Alright, so if you are norskmatty, what is on your... What are you up to right now?
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to think in this case, like, what he has left to do.
We're going to be doing... We'll be doing a couple more mirror checks. Like, we're going to be checking Graveyard Ledge, that entrance, which Fear walked in and out of, so I'm assuming it was nothing. I don't remember what it was. Ooh,
yeah, I don't think it was anything. I was gonna say though, like, we do have in this case a new check. Thankfully, we have the hammer. This is gonna be one more item, and yeah, maybe this is gonna be norskmatty's like North Dark World tour. Checking these entrances, maybe hopping on over. To do like Catfish and Sora. you know, and like Waterfall Fairy, potentially. He does in this case actually have amazingly like Azora money in this case for being so poor for basically the entire scene.
A little surprised Fear hasn't picked up their flippers yet. Considering Fear was in the area when he picked up
Oh
the
yeah,
mirror,
yeah, that is also true.
But still not too worried about that. norskmatty not having
that's
the boots,
right.
unfortunately.
He was very hopeful that we would have the boots at some point, that they would just show up, but unfortunately, yes, Kingstown, while we can actually access there, we still need the boots in order to kind of bonk open. That was a tavern. I can't believe Fear did not get a joke for us.
Alright, so Fear's going to go ahead and pick up their second pod key. We've seen 3. I don't think Fear has been to Harry yet to pick up that key. Alright, so what's next? Like, it's got to be the boots, right? Or it's got to be the boots, or it's got to be the other glove. Like, one of those things have to be
something has to show up, right? I guess, right. I mean, there are going to be, like, other things. In this case, can unlock some more, like a fire rod, for example, would unlock the back of Skullwoods. That could be another entrance that could help us out. I mean, but yeah, in terms of, like, big-ticket items, yeah, that either, like, the boots or the glove would probably give us, in this case, like, the most amount of access. So that's what I would kind of expect those things to show up first.
Yeah, maybe a hook shot to give us access over to, you know, the GT climb and left side GT. So yeah, not sure.
Yeah, and of course, you did mention there were a couple of, you know, while there's some item dense locations that are available, they're not necessarily, you know, the greatest options, right? Ice Palace without a glove, GT climb without a hook shot. Certainly, you know, Eastern Palace without a big key. Does not preclude, by the way, any of those items just being in those respective locations, and then, you know, we're just going to be very sad, right?
Yeah, and you know, it's unfortunate. It would unfortunately get to the point where, like, if it's say the answer is Eastern Palace, you know,
just hypothetically, right?
Both owners are gonna hate themselves. I like this as an option though, because we find Laser Bridge.
Is this vanilla? It was somewhere on the mountain. I think.
No, this is not quite vanilla.
Okay, it's just slightly displaced. Oh, yes. But okay, well, speaking of, yes. So, right, actually still in Crosskeys, that is now in Logic, actually just because we have the cape. So, of course, this is slightly different than, like, the normal, you know, I guess, like, non-entrance. In this case, there's no such thing as advanced Logic. Does always require some sort of invisibility item, but of course we have that in spades, which was the cape. So, speaking of, yeah, I was going to say, so speaking of, well, speaking of the fire rod, Fear is probably going to take advantage of that, but norskmatty, you know, also here in the back of Skullwoods, he's got a fire source. Looks like he's actually about to sequence break Mothula. In this case, not only item-wise, of course, with the lamp, but also, I don't think we have 3 Skullwood small keys either.
Nope, I think we have logically found just the one that is guaranteed to be in Pinball Room in Skullwoods. So norskmatty's setting up the bomb jump. This is not a hard bomb jump, although norskmatty didn't show off the easy way to do it. Basically, if you push yourself up against the wall directly to the left of that torch, you will be lined up perfectly for that bomb jump, and then it's just a matter of setting down the bomb. But norskmatty gets it done without the problem.
Yeah. Right. I mean, and chances are, you know, the fire rod's going to show up. I mean, we did see it certainly show up on Fear's side, so norskmatty is probably not going to be too worried, especially in this case if he's going to be able to claim his second crystal. We don't have a map for this quite yet, but, you know, with Temper Sword, you know, again, there's no reason to kind of wait for Logic, right? Temper Sword, right. Half Magic. Well, Half Magic's not doing us any good here, but, you know, we should be fine.
I'm going to use Bombos just to spite. No, I'm just kidding.
Probably quite the fire effect that we're hoping for with Bombos in this particular boss.
Look, if Fire Rod can hurt Mothula, why can't Bombos?
Yeah, you're right. That is actually a very excellent question. We should bring it to the devs. Man, alright, we're really rolling on the crystal pendant luck here. That's our second crystal.
Yeah, we haven't even found Sahashala to tell us what our green pendant is.
Yeah. Or the Bob Shop, actually, for that matter. No 5-6 crystal either.
Okay, so what is next for norskmatty? They're kind of done with this area unless we're about to go into Dark World Shopping Mall. Cave 45. There, we've seen Mimic Cave. I'm trying to keep track of, like, the item caves. You do not have a glove, norskmatty. Sorry. I think we've seen almost all of our item caves collectively amongst our 2 runners.
Yeah, I'm trying to think in this case, if there was anything else that is still available. I want to say, did we see Checkerboard Cave? Maybe that's still outstanding.
Maybe not Checkerboard Cave, but I know we haven't seen the dam. We haven't seen Spike Cave. We've seen one of Waterfall or Pyramid Fairy. I don't remember which one. So the other one is out there. And Sahasrah's Hut.
Yes.
I think those are the only item caves that we haven't seen at this point.
Yeah.
We have seen Hookshot Cave. Obviously, can't do anything with it.
Right. Nope. Not. I know the Fear is a very accomplished hover. So put some boots on that guy, and he's going to be able to at least sequence spray out a couple more checks. But again, we need those boots. Boots actually would unlock again. Quite a lot, right? Because boots of course have the boost checks themselves, right? A bunch of bonk rock locations. Sequence spray out Hookshot Cave, but also again, we can Mire access. We can get that glove off of GT Torch, and then all the glove lock locations.
That's the important one, is getting that, getting the glove. Looks like Fear is going to be checking the back of Skull Woods entrance, something we have not seen from norskmatty.
Yeah. I mean, probably one of the premier locations that are going to be locked by the fire rod. So, and the fact that he just got it from Laser Bridge probably is just fresh on his mind.
Yeah, and so that Laser Bridge entrance, by the way, was through a connector via Spec Rock. Not the Spec Rock, it was a Spec Rock cave. Which
the one that you
one of our entrances, which is at Kakariko. But Fear, I think, is going to be very happy with his find here, as he finds Palace of Darkness. Only has 2 keys. I thought he picked up all 3. No, he hasn't been to Hera.
He hasn't been to Hera, right? Oh man! All right, so we did find a book. Alright, so I believe after this, we're probably gonna get a pedestal check from here.
I was gonna say, if you guys are curious about pedestal, we're gonna find out very soon.
Mm-hmm. Now, so Wall Kick's 2 keys in here in pod. Is that is that a scary number of keys? Certainly better than 1 key, but it's do you really want 3 in this case? Before you kind of go into pod here? No,
two between 2 and 3, I'd rather have 2.
Okay.
Just because at that point I'm not 2 is basically I open the front door, I open the door to get to the back, and I don't even I don't even think to myself of do I want to try to save this 3rd key to get to the Helmasaur King if I want to? Do I want to use this 3rd key on either Harmless Hellway or Vanilla Big Key Chest? 2 is probably the ideal. If you don't have all the keys, 2 is an ideal one to have.
No, that actually sounds really reasonable. In this case, you don't have to make any decisions. The decision is basically already made for you. So don't have to necessarily think about it.
But, however, something that has been pointed out in chat that I completely forgot to consider, we have the big key to this dungeon, and we have a bow, and we have a hammer.
I'm just waiting for that key counter, by the way, on Fear's side to go up, because every small key that he picks up is going to be, of course, another pod key is going to be here. So far, hasn't quite happened. We found a small key to Desert. So goes for it. Put Landmolus actually in Logic now, but of course also gives us 2 additional checks on Desert right side, and a small key to Mire. Again, that second key is really not going to help us out too much, but logical implications, as you mentioned earlier, right? That is 1 key closer to our all 3 keys locking the left side.
Yep. Fear, by the way, is choosing not to kill Helmasaur King in this scenario, so he's going to be going to the back, picking up all the items here. So Fear will be able to pick up 6 items here, which is nice. norskmatty, meanwhile, going to Laser Bridge, will be picking up their fire rod.
And then presumably also kind of following in Fear's footsteps in order to get to, in this case, Palace of Darkness, which is the back of Skull Woods. Speaking of Skull Woods, though, we also picked up, I believe that's our first wild Skull Woods small key in pod. I also have a powder. 1 more additional check for Magic Bat. I do believe we found that earlier. But of course, also really nice safety to have.
So one thing to note, on top of the fire rod that we found on Laser Bridge, we found our 4th GT key. Excuse me.
Oh, I don't even think I noticed that. Well then,
I noticed it the first time. I didn't say anything because I think we were discussing other things. But yeah, so that is all 4 GT keys and the big key.
Yeah,
Scary.
looks very suspicious at this point for that GT climb. Of course, we're still missing again a couple of like nice to have items. We don't have the hook shot for both in this case like the left side of GT and of course the climb itself. And of course, we're still missing in this case the Cane of Samaria for right side.
Nice, that is an ether medallion. Really, the only thing of value that we picked up in the back of Pod, aside from some insignificant small keys.
Mm-hmm. Not one small key to Pod.
No.
I'm disappointed. Aw, just a little, in this case, heartbeats, so Fear does not, in this case, have to worry about coming back here.
Alright, where is norskmatty going now? norskmatty's been taking advantage of this sanctuary start. I don't think norskmatty has been to... Has norskmatty saved and quit to the old man?
You know, he has not, because I think his first save and quote was at the 49-minute mark or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
but I mean,
but I think, I don't think he's
since then
there yet. Yeah, because I don't think he's actually been to Dark Death Mountain, or like at least he didn't start there. So I want to say that he hasn't. On the other hand, where is Fear going in this case?
Fear hasn't done this area yet. Like he still hasn't picked up.
Oh, he hasn't. So. Oh, that's right. So that's right.
These are all new checks for fearagent.
Yeah. No, that's totally correct because we basically saw him fake flipper everywhere, like Zora Ledge, Zora's Domain, Waterfall, Lake Highland. Is it Hobo? Basically, just acted like as if he didn't need the flippers, but chances are probably they saved a little bit of extra time here. Mm-hmm. And of course, we actually go find the dam, drain it, and then go find Swamp Palace. Probably going to be something that's pretty useful. We did find that Swamp Palace key pretty early, so that could be another potential location for us to kind of dive into. But again, of course, no hook shot. Maybe make it a little bit less palatable.
Yeah, that's another nasty location. Should we find it? norskmatty heading back into Hyrule Castle. Have we seen all of the connectors here? Oh, they haven't done. Yeah.
I was gonna say like he found the Hyrule Castle small key, right? So he's probably gonna do the back of the cave.
So that's where the Thieves Big was. So we'll be picking that up.
Oh yeah, that's right. There's another dungeon that we can go to, but of course you don't have the Thieves Town small key. Of course, right. The blind itself is, of course, not going to be enlarged without the Thief Small, but I mean, still, like, I don't know. Do you want to go dive it again? Isolating that potential big chest?
It's a tough call. Like this scene is really setting up for a lot of do you want to do it? I don't know. Like,
yeah,
you're making a lot of risks, but you're gonna have to make one of these calls soon. Like it's clear that like something required is it. You're likely looking at a double dip of either Eastern or Ice Palace at this point.
Yeah, so in this case, I guess pick the dungeon that you like the most, or you don't mind, in this case, double dipping, and then I guess just go from there.
Oh, Fear is gonna go back and finish off front of
his right.
because he stole the key and got his stuff, so he will be picking up his second shield.
Okay, so I guess we may potentially be able to see a mirror shield on somebody's side. All right, that's right. norskmatty reminding at least me that there is this Castle Tower small key. I don't think I think it was like 5 rupees or something in the second chest, but that is going to be something that norskmatty is going to probably be like groaning in himself, be like, oh, I have now one more check now in Castle Tower.
Yeah, it'll be a little interesting to see when he goes back there. All right, what is next? norskmatty heading towards Tower right. I believe we've seen this.
Yeah, I want to say that we saw this too.
I know we've seen Hyrule mid. If we've seen Hyrule right, I haven't marked it.
Oh, we have not. But it's also not useful.
Yep, I was like, we definitely haven't seen that.
Oh, speaking of though, we got a book out of Pod. Not on norskmatty's side, of course, but that is going to be another entrance. I think that's going to be available for us. kind
Alright,
of also
so-
interesting. Right, wall kicks. Where is the stuff? Right, like we found pod. Right, we got like I don't know 8 checks or something out of pod. Like something a lot. Right. We found a book and we found an ether medallion. Where is the rest of where are boots?
Well, norskmatty's going to give us our first new check in a while, and that's going to be Eastern Palace.
All right, go norskmatty. I wholeheartedly approve of this decision, even though he did nope straight out of Eastern Palace earlier. Not like he has too much more. He does have a bow, of course, which means that if the big key is here, he's gonna be very happy. But I guess we're gonna see in this case what Sphere 01 Eastern Palace has for us.
Definitely not Sphere 0. More like a Sphere 2.
2? Okay.
Yeah. We do get our
that's right, it was the dark one.
Skullwood small key.
Yeah, that's right, yes. Yeah, so I think with a couple with the fire rod that they found on Laser Bridge, that is actually fully in logic now for Skullwoods.
Mm-hmm. Sphere should be finding Tower of Hera momentarily. I don't think there was anything of value in there. 100 rupees. Second chest.
Yeah, I was gonna say slightly also displaced. It is actually in the cannonball chest in the vanilla game, but cute to see it in the map chest.
Is it really 100 rupees in there?
Yeah, so that's right. First chest in Eastern Palace is the one and only 100 rupee item.
All right, today I learned.
Yeah.
Shows you how little of the actual regular game I play.
I don't think any mode grabs that 100 rupees. And then at some point I just found it and then it's just like, oh, okay, I guess that is a thing. How about that?
We find ourselves a map to desert. Alright, just one check left in Eastern Palace before we're out of things to do.
Mm-hmm.
Tough, I'm very much flexing my NMG knowledge.
I can't wait to see an NMG run by you, wall kicks.
You don't want to see it.
I mean, it's basically Crosskeys, just vanilla entrances and vanilla items. I mean, what's the problem?
Totally the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I've maybe attempted one one NMG run in the past year, and I think I stopped at I think I died or didn't have a good landmo fight and called it right then and there.
Alright, looks like alright, well kicks, since you are also, something you win today for this particular scene. Looks like there is nothing notable in Eastern Palace except that 100 rupees. Looks like our answer is gonna be elsewhere in this case.
Empty Eastern Palace. Who would have thought? If you're gonna do one of our tablet checks, find just some rupees on Bombo's tablet.
Yeah, and right now, I mean, for Fear, basically, to basically press the most recent items that he's found, right? He got the fire rod off of Laser Bridge, which Norskmatty does as well. Was the first, of course, between the two in order to get to the back of Skull Woods and find Pod. One, of course, our notable items that we found was the book, so it certainly makes a lot of sense for Fear to basically chase that. That is, his next set of access, basically.
Yep, and it looks like Fear is going to be checking the entrance that norskmatty actually just popped out of a moment ago. And that's Desert Main. This is the connector that led us to the house, the Arrow Game house. Bam, got it.
Yes.
Easy.
Alright, so where? Oh, right. So Fear's definitely seen that. Yeah, connector
so
side. Not even gonna bother opening it up at this point.
Nope.
So so we still have Ether Tablet. That's up on the mountain.
I guarantee you, that's where Fear is headed right now.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think norskmatty knows that the Old Man Save and Quit is a really nice save and quit point up here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we're basically at this point looking like it's either going to be Ice Palace or the GT climb, which you do Ice Palace 1,000,000% first in that scenario.
Mm-hmm. Now, remind me, has Fear actually done the Dark World side of Shopping Mall? Because I know he's done the light side.
No.
But this might be, in this case, yeah. Okay, if that's the case, then this is definitely our first check on norskmatty's side for the Dark World shopping mall. Actual shopping. We are. Oh, maybe he actually wants something. Bombs?
I would say,
oh,
wait.
yeah, that's true.
Sitting on one bomb. All right, so Fear, I suspect this is going to be an ice play. Just kidding. Fear's going somewhere else.
Oh, hey, we found
norskmatty, don't do it. Don't do it. Oh, no.
No. Well, the good news is he's gonna well, he's gonna be able to save and quit, and it's gonna be just add another one to his record. But in this case, yeah, we unfortunately still don't have a glove after the 1 hour and 15-minute mark. We're still looking for those boots or another glove just kind of laying it around.
Yep, you have not. You are not a full-time Crosskeys player 100%. Until you have tried to lift that and failed because gloves.
Yeah, it's something that you just don't, it doesn't occur to you, right?
No.
But it's just Crosskeys.
Hashtag just Crosskeys things.
Oh, wow. Ooh. That unlocks actually quite a bit. Yeah. We've got some Turtle Rock now that's available to us. We've got Right Side GT.
We are also not in Logic, because I believe that was in the back of Pod, locked by 4.
Correct.
4, count them, pod keys, and we only have 3.
That is actually a very, very excellent point. That's right. Yeah, the powder, that was actually wasn't notable. That was actually a notable pickup. Was in the rupee basement.
Yep. With that, I would be making a beeline straight to Ganon Tower at this point, because 4 keys. Something. Fear, you too do not have the glove yet.
Oh, well, I hope in this case he's going to be reminded of that. Like, he got reminded early that he doesn't have a glove, so maybe he won't try and check Catfish.
Yeah, I was just say that at that point, yeah, you're probably thinking to yourself, oh, I already just didn't have one glove. Let's not try that again. norskmatty, though, thinking, hey, let's go do a dungeon that I can clear. It's going to go ahead and finish off the East Town. Going to basically take the gamble that the big chest is nothing. Fear, meanwhile, is going to do the back of Skull Woods with the keys that they've got and pick up his second crystal.
Yeah. I mean, both, of course, very reasonable, at this point. And of course, especially on norskmatty's side, right? He's already kind of dove into a dungeon, in Easter Palace in this case, and didn't really have anything, so he's probably willing to, in this case, dive another one. And maybe at some point he'll go and, at least go to the back of Pod. Or in this case, sorry, the back of Skull Woods in order to get to Pod.
Right. And I mean, and this is a reasonable play for norskmatty at this point. Like you said, they already dipped Eastern Palace and didn't get anything, so, you want to hold off until you can get the Thieves' Town small key so you can, make sure you can full clear it. But you don't want to, consistently put it off for, forever. Eventually you have to make the call, and it looks like norskmatty's making the call now, which I don't mind that at all.
Right. And honestly, it's not like he knows what's, in the back of Skull Woods, right? It's just one interest to him, versus, potentially basically, the rest of the Thieves' Town items, right? And, and again, what is precluding, one, that the Thieves' Town small key is just here, or it's self-locking, right? Nothing. So...
A self-locking Thieves' Town small key and Crosskeys is horrible, and I've had that.
I was gonna say, I was like, isn't this from personal experience, Walker?
Yes. Just to go off on a quick tangent, that was my round 4 race.
Oh, last year?
Round 3 or 4 race last year against Lynn. We both did Thieves' Town. We both did the back of Thieves' Town without the small key, and I think with only Kane and Samaria. And the Moon Pearl was in Blind Cell, and the small key was in the big chest.
Was self-locking?
Was self-locking in the big chest.
That is ridiculous.
That was quite the
scene. That's a Crosskeys experience in itself. How could you give that up, basically?
Alright, so what is the one check that is in Logic here in the back of Thieves' Town?
Alright, Fear got, that's right, he got reminded early because he tried to, go to Dark Dark Witch's shop, and was reminded he, in fact, does not have a glove. norskmatty also taking, unfortunately, like the slight. Wait,
norskmatty once again.
he was so
bad
good.
pointing this out every time, but
gosh.
I have to.
No, he did great on the way to Blind Cell. I think he just muscle memory back into trying to rescue the maiden.
Right,
these are just little things, right? I mean, no one's used to not having a glove, at the 1 hour 20-minute mark, basically.
Yeah, we're an hour and 20 minutes in. Where's my glove? Oh wait,
exactly.
I know where it is.
Yeah, where are my boots? Okay, I ask this question every single time we start, right? Where are my boots? And apparently, they're nowhere to be found.
No. We both thought when we saw the glove on GT Torch at like 3 minutes in, we're like, okay, boots are going to be relatively early this season.
Hopefully,
and here we are, an hour and 20 minutes. Clearmouse, I cannot believe you said that. Why would you do this to our runners?
You're right. It's. You know what? Fear's just gonna find boots right here on the right side of GT and Compass Room, and so everything's gonna be okay.
Meanwhile, norskmatty, continues to win the lotto for is this a crystal or is it a pendant?
Yeah, he is 3
picks
for
up
3.
crystal number 3.
That is actually pretty dang amazing. I mean, not that I'm complaining by any means whatsoever, but now I'm really curious as to what the pendants are.
Right? And like we know TR is a crystal, so we've got 4. So like maybe Pod is a pendant. Maybe.
Yeah, that could very well be.
Maybe Buyer's a pendant. I don't know. Who knows at this point? We do know that there is a big key that is glove locked.
Oh yeah, that is true. We did see that. Yeah, that was the sanctuary entrance for Lumberjack Drop, right? We have a mystery big key there.
Yes. norskmatty is heading in this direction. Where are we going? There's nothing over here that I can remember. Did norskmatty not do the pod entrance?
Looks like it. Yeah, obviously Tofile actually reminding us, apparently he, very good observation was that we did not have enough money. Oh, you know what? Good job, Fear! You found the boots in Compass chest room.
Oh, that's got, alright. That's gotta feel good for Fear.
See, we just needed something.
Fear, go for it! What are you doing? Oh my god.
Oh, it's okay. He was just so excited in order to get the boots, and he just would just beeline it straight over. Good job. See, they just needed something to get us back here to GT in order to get the boots. That's it.
You know what? Fear's probably just going to sequence break the rest of left side.
That's actually probably true.
Yeah, I was thinking like, yo, just finish just full ride to Armos Knights. No, he's just Fear's immediately putting those boots to use.
Yeah, exactly. Accomplished hoverer, and of course, right, we can actually bomb jump, sequence break out by bomb jumping, but in this case, if you know how to use those boots, which Fear 100% does, which he's just demonstrated, it's going to be significantly faster. Yep. We're definitely get a map check as well on GT. Good thing we found the map apparently already. Oh, we found the Swamp Palace Vicky. It's going to be pretty useful once we find it.
You know it's getting late when I'm starting to just crack up at everything. Fine.
Not quite the bump that we were hoping for, but Fear does not in this case dash off the ledge. And not going to be like the worst time loss, but certainly going to be a little bit of annoyance.
Yep. norskmatty is going to walk all the way over to do what I'm assuming. Oh no, no powder, so no magic bad. That's going to be. So this is where Fear's probably gained his biggest advantage, was doing the back of Skullwoods when he did to find Pod, and so that's going to be really big because it led to the Canis Mario, which we know explicitly leads to the boots. Curious to see where our 4th Pod key is. Honestly, would not be surprised if it's upstairs GT.
Yeah, I was also going to say, right, so you did mention earlier that the powder right now is still considered out of logic because we collectively only have 3 pots keys, which that powder is locked in this case by 4 keys. And so but you did mention that earlier that the GT climb is actually in logic before we even found a pod, right? But of course, logic is just kind of there for us. Unfortunately, Fear not in this case quite landing the hovers that he wants to in this case.
Yep. norskmatty, meanwhile, going into what we now know is Pendant Ice Palace.
Hey, look, we found the mirror shield. Great.
I know one person in chat who's probably very happy about that. There we go. New Julie is gonna pop up.
Oh, nice.
So while we're doing, I should say it's been, well, we're almost 90 minutes into this seed already. Gonna give a shout out to the runners. You know, norskmatty, fearagent, both excellent people, excellent runners. Make sure to give them a follow. You know, be sure to follow our trackers. I don't know how often they stream, but Topfile, Jinxie Girl also restreaming. Wonderful people, and of course Clear Mouse, my co-commentator. I know you don't stream, but I'd say follow her anyways.
I mean, well, you know who does stream? Wall Kicks. He is also, by the way, not an admin for this tournament. The best tournament, by the way, you know, in history of Rando. But also, he is also a fellow Crosskeys runner himself. Second place, by the way, last year. If I remember correctly.
First loser feels good, man.
Well, you know, we were kind of looking. You know, Wall Kicks, the fact that I'm waiting for you to do better than you did last year.
Hey, that's I would say that's the goal. Like, yes, that should be the goal, but realistically, I'm just happy to be here.
Crosskeys is all about fun as well.
All right, so Fearagent. I don't think we've seen anything else of value in GT. We did see the Swamp Big, but that's not really.
Yeah, we haven't seen anything else. We think we found like another map or so. No more map checks, of course, on Fear's side. I think he, you know, probably, you know, with that quick one, you know, in GT Basement, I think he's already memorized the layout, so don't have to worry too much about this. Oh, we found our gold sword.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, not going to be, of course, you know, it's not going to be probably as, you know, helpful, just because we are tempered, but, you know, it certainly doesn't just eases off a little bit of pressure, right? You don't necessarily have to get, you know, the one-on-one with tempered sword for Ganon, for example, to kind of slash him, you know, don't have to be necessarily as diligent.
Yep. We pick up a big key to Mire in Ice Palace.
Interesting.
I suspect Fear is probably going to clear Ice Palace soon, TM. I don't know if he knows whether it's a pendant or a crystal, but I would imagine that's on his mind soon.
Yeah, right. I mean, that glove, of course, right. The glove, the fact that, you know, has, in this case, opened up quite a bit. You know, but of course, then again, you know, Ice Palace is a fully clearable dungeon to him. So it's certainly going to be pretty interesting. Okay, so Turtle Rock and Swamp Palace is going to be our other crystal today. For 5/6. So of course we already did know that Turtle Rock was a crystal, but this case adds another one, this case for Swamp Palace. The fact that we do have a Swamp Small and a Swamp Big is certainly going to be pretty nice and convenient. We haven't found the dam yet, nor have we found Swamp Palace, but hopefully it's going to show up soon.
Yep. To answer some things in chat, the Canis Maria is on Magic Bat with the powder in pod, which was at the back of Skull Woods, locked by the Fire Rod. The glove is on GT Torch, which we've known about for an hour and 25 minutes. Fear just recently picked up the boots on right side GT, explicitly locked by that Canis Maria that norskmatty is going to need to pick up.
Yeah, and right. I think this also was pointed out earlier. You know, there is no fake powdering today. You know, not that only have we not seen the mushroom. In order to fake powder, you not only need the mushroom, but you also need the Canis Maria, which of course is on Magic Bat today. So that powder in this case is looking like to be hard required.
Yep. norskmatty, not sure where we're going. Without the glove or a hammer, well, we have a hammer, but without the glove. Oh, this is going to be unfortunate.
Did he realize? Okay, good.
Maybe we didn't.
Does he
we're going to remember here in a moment.
All right. I was going to say, does he just maybe want the magic? But I think the answer is no.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Oh man! All right, big key of Turtle Rock. So that is certainly a very requisite big key. That is
a clearable Turtle Rock now.
Yeah, that's right. Also right. Looks like we also have all of our Turtle Rock keys. We found Laser Bridge entrance, of course. That's where our Fire Rod is, and we got our Ice Rod. We got Samaria. I think that is going to be available for us.
Yep. All right. I think it's time that we start considering what we need for Go Mode. Hello.
Yeah, that is a pretty nice Go Mode. Or not Go Mode, but that's a pretty nice entrance to be able to find. Still need, of course, the dam, but now we have fully located another crystal dungeon.
Yep. So let's see. We are now headed to. Let's see. I'm curious to see where norskmatty is headed off to now. I really want to know where this 4th pod key is to put everything into logic. It's got to be on the climb. It has to be on the climb.
Yeah, right. I mean, like, and again, like, no one wants to climb without a hookshot. In this case, I mean, Fear is, of course, very capable of, getting across the Molder 2 gap. But even if you do that, and we get one more item from, the GT climb or like the drop, you're still basically going to leave that one item behind, right? For the Molder 2 chest.
To answer
you're not.
Tenchat, I'm 99% certain Fear has actually seen Eastern Palace. It was not marked on his tracker, which is fine.
He must have, right? Because I'm pretty sure that he took like very similar routes too. He's definitely been over there. So.
He subscribes to the Wall Kicks and Zelga's school of thought when it comes to Eastern Palace.
You mean it was just so fast that we just missed it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Saw it and left and was like, never again. Alright, so where is norskmatty headed now? So, this is unfortunately just turned very sour for norskmatty. Not from anything, that explicitly wrong that he's done. He just doesn't know that, like, the one entrance that he's kind of isolated in the Skullwoods area is the one that he needs.
Mm-hmm.
And Fear has taken... kind of taken control of the seed.
So, just like kind of like another minor consequence, right? norskmatty is here back on the mountain, but, kind of the way that he took it, without the book from Pod, right? Basically walking right past Ether Tablet, right? Probably going to be something that, he is going to go back and check later.
Mm-hmm. Alright, Fear.
Fear, yeah.
For more hovering. Has had a little bit of difficulty hovering this race. He did mention kind of in the pre-race chat before they started that like this is actually his first tournament race in a while, and he did admit to being a little nervous. So you wonder if maybe there is some race nerves going on, but gets that bonk, which is not an easy bonk to get.
Yeah, it was also really quick too, right? Normally you kind of have to like sword buffer your way over to get just a little bit further than kind of like so you can make that bonk. But yeah, Fear just slid right on through.
But he's spending a little bit of time trying to get this hover. He's got the time at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. I mean, right now,
obviously, but
right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, right, kind of like longer in this case that norskmatty kind of spends not going back to the back of Skullwoods, and basically getting Pod, specifically the powder, from the back. It's going to be just kind of like just more time he needs to make up later.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, we're that almost looked to be a little bit of a frustration hover attempt with how fast he was trying to move. So we were wondering if maybe this is starting to weigh on him a little bit, but
all right, we got it through. Very worthwhile. What a terrible hookshot game.
That's a hook game. Nothing.
It was 220 rupees and 2 3-bomb packs. So yeah, that was what. But Fear, perseverance, of course, and some tenacity basically got him 4 more checks that he otherwise wouldn't have.
Alright, so Fear is probably at this point, I'd imagine... Where are we going? Oh, we're going to do... Trinex.
Oh, right, yeah, that's right. Turtle Rock Mickey that we just ended up picking up. And of course, Fire Rod, Ice Rod, Samaria. We did see in this case Fear, still able to hover. Probably just going to use Kid Samaria.
Are you suggesting that he covers the gap to Trinex?
I'm just saying he could.
Alright, norskmatty
probably not recommended.
is going to make the GT climb. This is interesting.
Now, right, okay, so norskmatty does not have the boots, and we know that in this case they are, locked by, in this case, the case Samaria, which is on right side GT, so they're like so close and yet so far away. I guess you could just do the whole thing, just also forget in this case that Molder 2 chest exists. He just hopefully doesn't have anything.
Yeah, I would think so. I can't imagine we're going to find anything here aside from our 4th pod small to put the cane into logic and thus give us the ability to go get our boots logically. If there's something like the hookshot up here, that's insane, and it would be a major bailout for norskmatty, but aside from that,
that's true.
You know, there's not going to really be a whole lot here, but maybe this, you know, gives them the thought to do. I mean, I don't know when you go to the back of Skullwoods at this point. I don't know. Fear, meanwhile, easily taken care of. Trinex gets silver arrows.
Yeah, certainly quite nice in order to be able to have. Of course, we don't know in this case if Meyer is a crystal or pendant quite yet, but silver arrows, I would say, relatively, you know, it's like mid game, right? Still gotta actually have some pretty nice uses, like for Vitreous, for example. That gold sword.
We haven't done Armos, we haven't done Vidi.
Right.
Silvers will for sure get their use. Don't know why that was so hard to say. And it looks like Fear is at this point going to transition into dungeon clearing mode because he's going to go right into Ice Palace.
All right, well, sounds good. Yeah, I was going to say, norskmatty, please. Yeah. I was going to say, norskmatty, please, like, be careful. He does have a blue potion, which he just, of course, drink, but quite still a bit dangerous in this case. And of course, contrary to norskmatty's experiences in Ice Palace, Fear, in fact, does have a glove, so he is able to not only get, I think, a couple more extra checks over norskmatty, and basically everything except, of course, the big chest. He does with the King of Samara to make things a little bit faster, which, of course, norskmatty still does not have, and he is going to be able to take down Killstare.
Yep. Nice Lenmo too, there, from norskmatty. Fear, correctly remembering that if you don't have the big key, you do need to hit the switch. Now, Fear does not know that this is a pendant dungeon, so he's going to obviously clear this all the way through Cold Stare regardless. But this will be a little bit, it'll still be somewhat new information for Fear Agent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fear
also,
gonna show off Icebreaker.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, again, what? Okay. I was like, just saying, was it like, can you soft lock here doing Icebreaker? I've never seen that.
I've never seen anyone soft lock there.
Okay, alright, smoothly went over the big barrier. Oh god, we got a shovel.
Okay.
always nice to see.
The shovel exists. Alright, norskmatty, what are we picking up here?
Yeah, we got a pod key somewhere here, right? Otherwise, not sure where in this case we're gonna be able to go. Alright, we've got 3 bombs and 10 arrows.
There's the Myra Big for Fear, which is good because I imagine that'll just be Fear's next play.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. There's not a pod key up here. Huh.
Where haven't we been?
I mean, I'm sure there's something that we've missed. It's hard to watch 2
Yeah, right, yeah. But it's like, but still, like, it kind of makes me wonder in this case, like, where things can be.
Having said that, norskmatty now unsure what to do. This is kind of the unfortunate aspect of maybe some early Crosskeys rounds. You know, you might see some matchups that I don't want to say are one-sided, but you know, some runners have, you know, more experience with this mode and can kind of glean things out. So hopefully, for norskmatty's sake, you know, they're able to figure out that, hey, I have the fire rod that opens up the back of Skullwoods.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and maybe, you know, this also, you know, maybe could just mean that, like, they just kind of forgot about the fact that when they picked up the fire rod, it did open up another entrance, or maybe they just accidentally, like, marked it off their tracker, right, and thinking that, oh, I've already visited this place. But hopefully in this case, like, for norskmatty, you know, he's going to be able to kind of, like, work things out, and kind of go back there.
Meanwhile, Fear just, you know, plowing right through Ice Palace. Like I said, got their Meyer Big. So for Fear Agent, what's he missing at this point? We need the hookshot for sure because Swamp Palace is a crystal.
Do we have full pendant crystal knowledge at this point?
No.
we haven't found Sahasrara either. Right?
Yeah.
I think there were actually quite a number of locations like that we still haven't in this case.
The only pendant that we even know about is the one that Fear is about to pick up.
Yeah, that's true. That's actually very true. And it could be the green pendant. Maybe. Oh, there's a flute. it's not the green pendants. But what in this case does the flute open up? It gives a lot of mobility, but yeah, I was gonna say, like, you know, so like the flute can open up the Maya area, but we don't have mitts, so we can't even like access anything there.
Yeah, norskmatty is taking a long time to think.
Right, and yeah, and I was gonna say, like, this is also part of like the difficult part is like, especially if you either like mistrack or you don't remember or you maybe don't even realize that you did something. Like, he's played almost 1 hour and 40 minutes worth of gameplay. I mean, like without boots, without hookshot, without flute, like nothing, right? And like you basically now are trying to figure out this case of what haven't I done or what did I overlook.
Fear walked into Meyer, saw the P, and was like, "Bye."
Nope. I think maybe Fear in this case is still on the lookout for entrances, right? Because he did find Swamp Palace, which you know, of course, is a crystal, and maybe he's just interested in, well, in this case, finding the dam, because that could be another clearable crystal for us.
I don't know. It's still hard to be like. It's hard to avoid dipping into Mire at this point because, like, okay, what entrances are we looking for? We're looking for the dam that gets us access to Swamp, but without a hookshot, we can't clear Swamp.
Now, actually, so, right, and Fear hasn't cleared Thieves Town yet, right? I mean, is this going to be another viable option for him? You know, we haven't found Thieves Town Small Key, for what it's worth. But, you know, but at this point, we've kind of, like, not been at Thieves Town for a while on Fear's side.
By the way, Jinxie pointing out, doing wonderful job tracking and restreaming, that Eastern Palace is our last pendant.
Oh, thank you, Jinxie.
So that would give us full knowledge, and for Fear would put hello, Dam. For
yes,
Fear, that basically
hello, Dam.
puts hookshot for go mode.
So I guess are we going to Swamp Palace now? I mean, he just found the dam. We can flute to flute spot 7 real quick, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'll always flute to flute spot 7 the moment you find the dam, if you have the flute, obviously.
Yeah, certainly going to be, especially I think in some like the quick cross stuff, right? Early flute in this case. Oh wow!
Oh, there's a mitts.
Oh, those are the mitts. Are we going to the Mire area now? Are we going back to Swamp?
I mean, you almost don't want to see those at that point.
Yeah, like, no, that's actually really true. I mean, because like your one item from Go Mode, mitts in this case have opened up so much to you.
Yeah.
Where are you gonna go search for them? Wait, what are we still looking? Well, okay, so like, is he missing any more entrances?
I mean, we still haven't seen Sahashala.
Oh yeah, that's true. But I think in this case we have all of our do we have all of our dungeons?
There's Checkerboard Cave.
There is Checkerboard Cave, and Fear says no.
We do have all dungeons at this point. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so norskmatty, and this is almost just as, if not more frustrating, is when, like, after you've been thinking for so long, you're like, oh, I got it. I haven't done, X, right. And then you do X and it's still not the answer, and then you're like, well, what now?
Yeah, no, I mean, it certainly can be very, very difficult. And especially, and honestly, like, and this isn't, again though, like, no mobility on norskmatty's side either. It's not like he can like quickly like, oh, let me go check, this entrance, right, by fluting over to flute spot 5. Like, he's literally like walking everywhere, right, holding cardinal directions, right, not even like a hookshot kind of like even get him across the screen a little bit faster. Like, I think it just might even like add in this case like to the frustration.
Alright, so that was Myra was the green pendant, by the way.
Okay, cool. I don't know if that will incentivize Fear to go back, because, again, he's just missing hookshot. I mean, I guess maybe for what it's worth, if he finds a hookshot somewhere, he can basically just, like, no-bon out and leave. But again, like, the hookshot can show up in some pretty awful locations.
Yeah, I have to imagine at this point that he might choose Swamp Palace first. Just because if it's there in Swamp Palace, then he's done. He doesn't have to worry about anything.
Yeah, and the fact that Swamp Palace is where Hookshot Cave is, right? Like, Old Man Save and Quit spot is a very, very convenient location to start, right? So he can basically get back into Swamp like very quickly. Hey, look, hi Sahashula.
This takes care of all of our remaining item cave entrances, although I still don't think we've seen Sicket. So I think there's one...
You are correct, actually. We did get a couple of earlier bottles, right? But I don't think we ended up having anything to turn it into.
Yeah, so we're down to one item cave left.
Have we seen Smiths, out of curiosity? I don't remember. But again, 2 screens. Difficult to keep track of.
If we haven't seen Smiths at this point, it has to be the cave at Light World Shopping Mall. Because the Smith entrance has to be in Light World and can be locked by nothing other than a glove. So it has to be either freely available or locked by one glove. Cannot be both.
That's a good point. We did get our gloves both pretty dang late.
Yes. So it's likely, if we haven't seen it at this point, that it is just Light World Shopping Mall under that rock entrance. That is a big key to Eastern Palace.
I don't think
Fear still hasn't touched Eastern Palace, so that is an option for him. But yeah, I'm not sure really when Fear chooses to go into Eastern at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like he is kind of actively avoiding pendant dungeons. Kind of wrapping up a couple of loose ends here and there. Basically finishing up, like the desert stuff. And I think that was a remaining check, just to make sure. I guess he has all the Light World stuff.
Hey, look, it's the Smith. Exactly where I said it was going to be.
That's right.
I was admittedly stunned when Fear walked into Meyer, saw that it was a pendant, and walked out. Like that genuinely surprised me. Where is Fear? To Fear, you better not be going into Eastern.
Well, we have not seen 2 checks in Eastern Palace on norskmatty's side.
It's also possible that, well, I don't know. Because he's going straight to Eastern. Like, this is Eastern right here, right now.
Okay, so setting, some potential, bias you may or may not have for Eastern Palace aside, wall kicks, I guess, what are your thoughts for Eastern Palace versus Meyer in terms of just, item density, efficiency? This case, is Eastern actually, a viable play just because Fear can full clear it?
Well, it is a viable play because Fear doesn't actually know whether this is a pendant or crystal. So we are unsure what this is.
Oh, right, and of course, right. He did pick up the Meyer map earlier, so the fact he did see a pendant, probably, okay, so I guess this is now going to be like a 50-50 or something from his perspective.
Right, so it's not at this point, it's either Hera or Eastern. That's our last crystal. So forget what I said, this is a perfectly acceptable play. And this is going to be where our hookshot is, naturally.
Naturally, though.
Yeah, on norskmatty's side, norskmatty's probably just going through every single thing on their map, looking at every possible option, and is just not finding something. To norskmatty's credit, he still has not forfeited.
Yeah, so. No, definitely, and you would just not forfeit, right? Until basically you figure something out. You probably just keep going until you, see something from your opponent, right? Either dot done or also, dot forfeit, I guess, for what it's worth.
Alright, so Fear is going to give us our first new check here in a moment, which will be the Eastern Big Chest.
Yeah,
I'm assuming Fear is going to full clear this dungeon unless the hookshot, of course, is right here. I can't imagine you're skipping the vanilla Big Key Chest. Okay, thank you, Fear.
One more check to go, Walkix.
I was really worried for a second, with where he dashed on the right of that big chest.
Oh, that he was thinking about it?
That he might have been thinking about it.
Alright, so I guess after this for Fear, he's gonna finish up Eastern Palace, he's gonna find out it is a pendant. He's already checked the pedestal in this case, right? So he knows that he doesn't have to go get all of the pendant dungeons. Where do you think he's gonna go next?
I
mean, like, so like our pendant dungeon's now on the table. Dimension for Swamp Palace itself is also going to be a viable option. Well, I mean, could be another destination. I think he does have some maybe other crystal dungeons maybe he can do some cleanup on. I think he hasn't done Helmasaur yet.
Yeah, he might choose to go finish off Pod, maybe go finish off Thieves Town at this point. I suspect once he's done with his crystal dungeons, he probably makes the Swamp Palace play. Maddie, meanwhile, we're heading somewhere. Hopefully, we look like we're heading in the right direction, because this will take us to the Dark World in the area near Skull Woods.
Yeah. Oh, that's actually really, really great. One of the perks, features about Crosskeys, especially without a glove, especially still on norskmatty's side, right, is how you're going to be able to get to the Dark World, and the fact that he, of course, does remember these connectors is certainly going to be very helpful. And this actually does very much so. Oh my god!
Well, that's just go mode for Fear Agents.
Well then. Cakes. Are we back to having some value here at Eastern Palace?
Well, look. I'm not one to say that like there's never any value in Eastern Palace. My view on it is you single dip it. If there is ever any value in Eastern Palace, it is either always in the big chest or on Armos Knights.
So we're both all happy today, right? I am a proponent of you don't skip Eastern Palace, and you are a proponent of only single dipping Eastern Palace. All right, so good.
Precisely.
Exactly. But as you mentioned, but man, like we're finally, Fear Agent is in go mode. I don't think he's lacking any keys at this point either, right? It doesn't care in this case about Thieves Town Small. Wherever it is, great. It'll probably just stay there for the rest of the scene. Yep. But we can get blind. We have the requisite one small key we need in order to get to Helmasaur. We have our Swamp Small in order to get to Swamp Palace. I mean, Fear's basically going to just go mode everything.
Yep, we've got the hookshot to Harapot. We're done.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, no big key, of course, required. In order to basically just zip right on up to Hera.
All right, so Fear will be finishing, within the next. I think a sub 2 isn't going to happen because he still has, 4 crystals to plow through and Ganon. That's not going to happen in under 10 minutes, but Fear should still probably be pulling up a 203, 204.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean it's actually like I was a pretty decent time for the scene.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Lots of gloveless, bootsless movements.
I would say that, and that's really what it was. And so the big thing that this seed came down to was, Fear finding this pod that norskmatty is in now. And I mean, and shout outs to norskmatty for going through everything
for sure
and actually figuring it out. Like, it's not easy. When you skip something, it is not easy to go through everything, to go through your notes and everything and be like, what did I skip? And actually figure it out. So definitely props to norskmatty for following through and finding what he needed to find.
Yeah, I mean, and the fact that at least like from like his personal stream, right? What is available, right, is just like the item tracker portion. I'm not actually sure if he ends up using a map tracker, but like at least if you're missing an item, right, or like something like that, you could also kind of go back to your bot, right? Be like, okay, like I got all these in progression and kind of look through it. I don't even know what you're supposed to do for entrances if you don't have some sort of like record, right? So the fact that he even actually found that, oh yeah, that's right, I do have the back of Skull Woods open. Right, like, is even more of a testament for him. So really, really great that he ended up kind of following through and figuring it out.
And as Amazing Ampharos in chat is pointing out, it appears that our missing pod small key is probably in pod, just in the vanilla big key.
So a self-locking key, gotcha. We haven't seen one of those in, I don't know, how long?
hey, you were asking for a pod key and pod.
You're right. I was, but unfortunately, I was waiting for the little key counter to go up. That's what I was hoping for.
It just never did.
Mm-hmm.
All right, crystal number 4 for Fear Agent, but being in go mode, we're just gonna go right to crystal number 5, crystal number 6, and then crystal number 7.
Yep.
most of the dungeons at this point for Fear are pretty convenient, minus Pod.
Yeah. But I mean, like, and of course, Fear just has to go to the back in this particular case, so not going to be, in this case, too big of a trek for him. Especially with Boots and Flute and now Hookshot, should be, at least pretty straightforward. Yep. Meanwhile, although, norskmatty is going to be the first between himself and Fear in order to take down Helmasaur.
Yeah, and I mean, despite what ended up happening, like, weirdly enough, they're both at 4 crystals.
Yeah.
Like, one would say that this is maybe a little bit closer than it is. I mean, unfortunately, norskmatty now needs to go back in, pick up the powder, and then go check powder. Like, the rest of the seed for norskmatty is somewhat linear, but not, obviously, at this point, unless something bad happens to Fear, I don't see any way Fear drops this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I guess for what it's worth, right, mitts were not required. It was just actually the boost locked the first glove. That's definitely required. But in terms of, I think anything that the mitts locked, I don't think we needed anything after that, because Eastern Palace big key was Desert Right, which we did find the small key to Desert before mitts. So I don't necessarily think in this case we needed really anything else.
Mitts were bait.
Alright, there is the powder pickup for norskmatty. And of course, we did end up finding, of course, a book earlier in, the shooter room of Pod. Probably is going to maybe, distract norskmatty just for a little bit, just because now he does have, like, tablet stuff open. But eventually, he probably will go in and fight his Canis Mario from Magic Bat.
norskmatty correctly remembering that he picked up the rupee while it was in air, so that would have messed up this bomb trajectory.
Really? That actually affects the bomb jumps here? I did not know
yes.
that.
If you ever see why the bomb jumps fail, it's likely because you picked up the item while it was in air.
Oh, see, I only thought that actually... Yeah, okay. So I only thought that only mattered for Herapotting, but I guess it also applies here too.
Nope. Yeah, correct. Yeah, that is something that happens here. This is actually, like, obviously before Herapotting, this is kind of where everyone bombed. This was a bomb jump that everyone did. So I imagine a lot of people knew about this portion of Ancilla kind of being screwed up first. So Fear's in Swamp Palace. I'm going to take care of this rather quickly. And Fear is actually setting this up relatively nicely. So, like, Ganon is at the Lost Woods drop down, and with Pod being at the back of Skull Woods, he'll be able to do Pod and then just mirror and basically go to Ganon straight from there.
Oh, yeah, that's actually, pretty efficient. Yeah, and of course, we're kind of actually seeing also just how fast, in this case, go mode Swamp Palace goes straight to the back, literally open, nothing else. Fear's got Gold Sword, he's got Silvers, Half Magic, he's got Mirror Shields, he's got Red Mail. Like, I'm not even sure if there's anything else that, could probably persuade him to stop for something.
Please explain, why does that mess it up? Game.
Yeah. Alright, so after having left, Pod, in this case, or the back of Skull Woods, looks like, though, norskmatty, I'm not actually so sure. Maybe he wants to check Bombo's tablet?
Yeah, we're doing
some
tablet checks. I mean, as far as norskmatty is concerned, the powder is technically out of logic. I can't imagine norskmatty still isn't going to check that. But, maybe in norskmatty's mind, the book is more likely to be the answer than that powder.
Yeah, no, that's actually 100% correct. Right, and just, as a reminder, right, like, I don't think, necessarily we potentially even realize this, right, was that we only found 3 potkeys. And of course, the self-locking key is certainly an option, but certainly not something that's going to be on the forefront of your mind. It's like, oh, of course, there's a podkey in Pod that we can't get to. You're probably thinking, like, there's probably a podkey somewhere else I just haven't been.
Yeah, and I mean, and Top Final Chat has actually pointed out another possibility, which is kind of where norskmatty is headed right now. and that is this Eastern Big Key. Gets us the hook shot, which would put, the Moldorm 2 check into logic, as well as, the one item drop down that's there as well. So.
Oh yeah, that's true. And I guess, maybe from Nurse Maddie's perspective, Hookshot Cave would also be a thing, right?
Yep. Has not been there. So yeah, the logic of getting 4 pod keys is kind of interesting. Also, side note, where are our other pod keys?
Yeah, that's actually a good point too. I mean, I'm gonna assume that they have to be in some. I mean, like, we haven't been into Mire either.
And that hookshot also opens up Mire. We talk about such the nasty idea of it being behind like Moldorm 2. There's just a pod key or 2 or 3 in Mire. It's fine.
I think we also haven't found some of the big keys as well, right? Like, we haven't found Hera Big, we haven't found Ice Big. Like, those can also lead to pod keys too, right? So. Luckily, we have 3 just widely available for us to use, so we don't have to necessarily worry. Yes. Oh man, I just can't imagine doing like cross keys without sequence breaking anything. Like, I don't know how much longer like the seed would be. Like, at least an hour, probably.
It'd be so bad.
I
wonder if Fear had the 3rd key the first time he was in pod. Would he have cleared Helmasaur King? Or would he have maybe checked either Vanilla Big Key or Harmless Hallway, and thus, instead of being in go mode like he is now,
oh my gosh, dude, that's
for a pod key.
Oh, that would be such an awful scenario. But I mean, but again, you mentioned this too, right? If you'd rather have the choice between 2 and 3 keys, you'd rather have 2 keys because you don't have to make any type of decision, so that you have 0 regrets afterwards.
Yep. norskmatty going to where he needs to go, picking up his Cane of Samaria. This will be good for norskmatty. Of course, Fear is, headed towards crystal number 7 right now, but maybe norskmatty will be able to pick up boots. Maybe he'll get
boots. Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say, like, boots would be great. At least, at least we get to dash around a little bit. But I guess, also when Fear ended up picking up his cane earlier, there are going to be probably, we can get a bit more access somewhere in Turtle Rock, I think. I don't know if norskmatty has, explored everything yet in Turtle Rock. Hopefully, though, this is going to be, his, that's right, I have the right side GT open, that is 4 more checks plus a tile room. So that'd be 5 checks in GT, so it's going to be at least my most lucrative option.
Well, I mean, it's 5 checks plus, the Ice Armos play, like, with
4 right, yeah, that's right. That's where we can always, yeah, right, that's right. I totally
we have a lot of that area.
That is correct.
Alright, Fear taking down Helmasaur King. That is crystal number 7. I would say something about a GT Big Key, but that's not important at all, because this is cross keys.
That's
and
right.
One of the cool things about cross keys is that it's fast scanning.
Who knows whether or not we had to logically climb the tower? But we don't have to necessarily abide by logic. We're literally just going to go straight over to Ganon right now.
Yep. And Ganon, meanwhile, is just sitting in the forest. What a cool dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and of course, right, with Gold Sword, not as much pressure in order to get the one-on-one. Yes, Red Mail, that bomb didn't even phase Fear. I still have sword beams.
So this will be a very quick fight from Fearagent. Gold Sword, I don't even know why you're spinning, dude.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this is practice, right, for the one-on-one later, because, I mean, it's probably, more common than you might think in order to get Gold Sword Silvers for cross keys, just because, just as nature of the seed, you end up full clearing, basically the game. But, you could certainly land here on Temperance, or you could land here on Master Sword. Just kind of a consequence of, what you end up finding.
Alright, already on phase 3. Ganon was initially playing a little mean with some of his warps, but appears to have decided, okay, I don't need to warp anymore.
Alright, yeah. On Morris Madison, it looks like he will get the boots before Fear finishes, I hope. This is going to be pretty tight.
the race within the race. Fearless setting up for a triple.
Oh, wow. Nice job. Oh, these gift jumps, man. Stop it.
But that'll do it for Fear Agent. GG's in chat. Right as norskmatty picks up the boots, Fear Agent finishes with an official race time .gg time of 2 hours, 2 minutes, and 30 seconds. norskmatty takes the forfeit immediately after.
Certainly very reasonable. Yeah, but get your G's out in chat for norskmatty as well. Definitely, hit somewhat of a roadblock in this case, right? Finding, or not in this case, however, being able to do the back of Skull Woods when he did, but the fact that he actually recovered and found his way back there is very, very commendable.
Yeah, and
especially under...
hopefully we'll be able to get both of them in chat. norskmatty in the chat room after saying that he missed that he marked the back of Skullwoods as completed.
Oh, see, that's even harder, right? Because it's like, it's very also pretty normal. It's like you kind of just go through all the interests. You're like, okay, check off all these because I'm going to go do them. And then how do you recover, right, from something like that?
So it looks like we'll be getting Fear Agent. It looks like we'll be getting both of our runners in for a little interview. So looking forward to that. But Fear Agent, meanwhile, moves to 1-0. norskmatty drops to 1-0-1. Of course, with this being a Swiss format, you're guaranteed 8 races regardless of your record. So, I'm sure both runners are still very excited at the prospect of more crosskeys.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And we are joined by our winner, Fear Agent. Fear, GG's.
Yo, Fear, GG's.
Wally, you like that Eastern Palace skip?
I did. I was so proud of you, dude.
Did you like the hook shot?
Were you getting concerned though the later the seed was going?
Yes, very much so. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm skipping Easter, and I don't normally do this, but I know that it's the play that Wally likes to make, and then like it's going deeper and deeper, and I'm like, God, what did I forget? What am I skipping in Easter? And that's just what I was thinking.
It was getting to the point where like the options were Eastern without the Eastern big key, you could do Thieves Town without the small key, you could do Ice Palace without the hammer. Like the checks weren't getting great, and then you were able to kind of find what you needed to find, which is finding Pod, which led to the powder, which led to the cane, which kind of let the rest of the seed go. We're also joined by norskmatty. norskmatty, GG's. Unfortunately, this didn't kind of work out to your favor this time.
Yeah, GG's.
Thanks. Yeah, GG Fear.
Yeah, GG's.
Yeah, I made a error and spent a long time figuring it out.
The fact that you did figure it out, though, I think was very, very impressive, right? Like, I mean, I guess I don't know how you end up tracking interests, like, because you don't show it on your stream. So it's like, I don't know how you're supposed to go back and figure out, oh, yeah, I accidentally marked this as completed, but I actually didn't do it, type of thing.
I mean, I was going through my VOD for a while, and I just sort of remembered that I was like, oh, I did Skullwood. I was watching the Skullwoods part, and I was like, oh, I didn't. I didn't open the pack, did I? I didn't have the fire rod at the time. I don't think.
Correct. Right, fire rod's on Laser Bridge, and that was definitely after.
You guys went there. That's how I ended up doing stuff like climbing GT without the hook shot.
That's true.
I mean, with all 4 keys and the big key, like it wasn't an unreasonable plan.
I think there might be something here. I don't know.
It's tempting, but like once you do GT and you get your boots and your mitt or your glove, there's so much to do. Yeah. So it's like I don't know if I can justify.
I didn't have that because you had to get the book from Pod to get the. You had to get the powder from Pod to get the
cane to get your boots so you can get
your glove. So I didn't have any of that.
So you climbed before you did the right. Oh,
the climb was the last thing I did before I was like I'm out of things. I really didn't want to do it. But I did it.
Fear, you walked into Mire, saw it was a pendant, and walked out.
Yeah.
How did you avoid touching Mire, considering you were still looking for like the hook shot in the dam at that point?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I was still looking for the dam, and I just did ice, not knowing if it was a pendant or a crystal, and then getting that pendant information. Then I'm like, I think the map even to Meyer was in ice, and so then that's the next stop, and I walk in, I see that P, and I'm just like, I don't know, I don't know about this.
That was really impressive to just walk out like that. I got a good chuckle out of that.
I knew I had enough locations left. I knew that I needed the dam for sure. Because I knew that was a crystal. After Eastern, that was my next stop was Meyer. So
right, yeah, very reasonable, all things considered.
But it was weird because it drops the hook shot and then the pendant, and I'm kind of like, it took me a second. I'm like, wait a second, that's a pendant. That's am I in go mode?
Yep.
Yeah.
And like the pod keys though almost didn't exist this seed. Like you had 3, and that's the exact number you needed.
Yeah, I kept thinking about going back to pod 2, but I was like, if I go, I'm just going to go clear it. I mean, I'm just going to go beat the boss because I knew it was a crystal. But I was like, I'll just wait until I get more keys, and then I'm like, realize I'm in go mode. I'm like, sweet. The one thing that I was worried about though was making sure that I actually did have that one pod key. that was my only worry because I skipped all those checks and in Thieves Town and Swamp Palace and everything. So I was just like in go mode. I'm like, my tracker says I have 3 keys. I'm pretty sure I only used 2. Let's just trust it. So
yeah, I guess like an earlier question that we were I guess wondering was like, so when you first got into pod, you only had 2 keys because you hadn't gone to Hera yet. If you had 3 keys, which I think was actually the scenario for norskmatty, like would you have gotten and basically just beat Helmasaur? Or would you have tried to like use it to save skill and find more stuff?
No, I think because I recently got burned by that. Looking for a pod key to kill the boss. So I think I would have used that 3rd one to kill Helma. But I mean, it's hard to say for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see what else can I think. norskmatty. Shout outs. I got to give you a shout out for the way you check Link's house.
I was thinking, so I did want to say I probably set what will be a very difficult record for me to break, a personal record for first save and quit, which was I think like 40 minutes in. I think like
it was 50 minutes in. Your first save and quit was at 50 minminutes in. You never saved and quit to Link's house. You checked Link's house via the mirror.
Yes,
you were doing
something
the
I don't think I've ever done before. Yeah.
Overall, very impressive. Your early route really paid off, except you were unfortunately a little bit late to the hammer because of its location. Like when you picked up the mirror and you had the early moon pearl, like you did the entire like village to South Dark World to mirror, do all the the South Shore checks over to like the pod Eastern area, like that's such a long string of entrances and checks that when Fear picked up the hammer, I think I even said it on stream. I'm like, I don't see you picking up that hammer for another 25 minutes or so because the way your route is shaping up, you're doing this massive clearing of entrances. And so kind of talk to you about like how your routing and how the seed, aside from what unfortunately happened, kind of went for you.
Yeah, I mean, the beginning was incredibly satisfying. Going through it with the mirror and the moon pearl and going like through the entire like South Dark World, and there was a lot of mirror transitions, but I don't know. I thought it was probably better than like doing a Dark World loop or doing a Light World loop. But yeah. I forget where the hammer was.
It was Spiral Cave.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I didn't come back to any of those connectors or anything for a very long time because I was doing like, I ended up like I'm going to stop here, and then there was another like, I can go to the mountain, and then I can go to the other side of the mountain. Like I'm just going to keep doing this because there's more things here. I don't know. Yeah. I kept thought I might run into some of those connectors along the way, but really didn't. It was weird.
Yeah, aside from the Spiral Cave one, I don't think there was really any other good time to like really stop your route until you hit the Paradox Cave entrance. But even then, you might have been tempted to do other things. But I mean, you both put up, you both showed, in separate ways, like really good movement, really good execution. Again, Norskmatty, unfortunately, mistracking entrances is something that we all do. It's just unfortunate, but 0-1. You still got a lot. You still got a lot to look forward to, though. 8 weeks of Crosskeys. Hopefully, you're excited for that.
Yeah, after this, no, I'm kidding.
I mean, but think of all the great lessons you learned from the seed. Like, you probably figured out every single entrance/item that's locked by the glove. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I also kept forgetting that I didn't have the glove because this is I've been playing this for about 1.5 years, but I've only been playing Crosskeys for about 2 months, and so I'm still really trying to learn this mode. And one of the reasons to enter this tournament for me was to get better at it and learn from people who are good at it, like such as fearagent, and try to just improve and get better. So I'll probably be watching this back and see what you said.
I'm sure by week 8 you're gonna realize you're gonna like see such a big improvement. You're like, wow, I can't believe the difference between week 1 and week 8. So I'm looking forward to that. Fear, you are starting Crosskeys off on a right foot. Yeah. I think you mentioned in the previous chat, like, this is your first tournament race in a while, so you were a little nervous.
Mm-hmm.
But yep. You pulled it out and did really well altogether.
Yeah, thanks. I felt good. I'm really curious to watch this back, though, because it sounds like Norskmatty got the mirror way before I did.
Yeah, you were a little more thorough with your Sphere 1 entrances before going through some of those connectors at Kakariko.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think you were earlier to the hammer.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
But I think overall, like, I'd say his routing for like the first 20 minutes was maybe a little bit more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
But once you picked up the hammer and you went through the connector into the village, the rest of your seed kind of just was fairly failing for you.
I'm always hesitant to start doing connectors without the mirror, Mm-hmm. So I'm like trying to do all the Sphere 1 checks and just make sure I'm not leaving anything behind, and then start doing connectors. I think that's kind of what I did, and then I got the mirror shortly after that. So then it felt pretty good.
Nice.
The starting spot sucked, though. I will say that. Like, old man up on the island.
You use that so much, though.
Dude, I saved and quit so many times. It was ridiculous.
like every opportunity.
Yeah.
And then on the other end, Norskmatty, I don't think you ever saved and quit there for like the first hour and a half of the seed almost.
That was another thing I forgot about, that you to go out that, because I had found the exit, the back exit, and I was like, oh, I know where this goes, but I forgot about the front of it. So I kept doing that save and quit the sink, run, walk down, take that connector to the dark world. It's slow. It felt so bad.
Yeah. I mean, there was some convenient connectors, like getting to the top of Hyrule Castle and stuff, but that was a pretty fun seed.
Nice. Well, GG's to both of you. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Yeah, just thanks for doing comms, and I really appreciate the restream. It's warmed my little heart. And GG's to Norskmatty. Good luck in the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, you too, Fear. And thanks for the comms and the tracking and the restream and everything. And I hope everyone enjoyed until the end.
It was a good race for when we were able to show off both you guys. So I'm very, very happy, very proud of both of you. Be sure to give both these runners a follow, Norskmatty and fearagent. Both of them put on quite the show. Really good race, all things considered. Want to shout out our trackers, Topfile and Jinx Girl. Jinx Girl also restreaming, doing double duty, which is amazing. With Crosskeys now basically getting underway, you can expect to see 8 weeks of this, plus once we get into brackets, we have bracket races. I'm so happy to see that this tournament is back on. And also want to give a shout out, of course, to my co-commentator, Clearmouse. Clearmouse, you are awesome. Thank you so much for commentating with me.
Well, Kix, I mean, the pleasure was all mine. I mean, this was an awesome race. I was so happy. And I mean, the fact that you were available just made it all the better. Of course, thank you so much, Norskmatty, and thank you so much, Fear, for letting us restream you guys.
And Clearmouse, go to bed.
I am going to bed. I did everything except take out my contacts, so I'm going to bed after this.
Well, thank you, everyone. With that, I believe we will call it a night. Hope everyone has a good evening or good morning, depending on where you are, and we will see you again for the next Crosskeys race. Take care, everyone.